Pro Yamaha, Liam Draper. Draper not letting Baylor off easy. He is charging, wanting that second place position.
Got a great battle here for 4th and 5th. Jordan Ashbrook holding off Ben Kelly at the moment. Stu has got a lead. He is pushing it for sure. Wow.
There's the 198 machine. Now up into the number 2 spot. Draper be a good point state for him in that Pro Yamaha team. There is Ben Kelly. That is 3rd place overall and 3rd place in the XC1. The big number 1. Ben Kelly clicking off the mile markers. Stu Baylor, they are assisting him getting that machine out of the woods. You know, he's got to be heartbroken. Grant Davis now down to the final corners, still ringing out that big KTM 450, threading the needle through this section of racetrack at a high rate of speed. He is your overall leader. He's looking at his first win of 2026. Just a few more corners, and Grant Davis looking to earn his first win of 2026. Grant Davis, 2 more corners. Ricky Towery with the white flag waving and checkered flag in hand. You can see the sense of relief. Grant Davis, there it is. He knows he's got it now. 1 right-hand corner. And Camp Coker 2026 goes to Grant Davis. First win of 2026 and a big jump in the overall points. He is going to rocket up the standings with that 30 points earned here today. And what a ride for this young man. And here comes Liam Draper through the final sections of racetrack, charged through the pack to do it, had a battle with Stu Baylor through the final parts of this race. Liam Draper fighting hard and putting himself in position to earn this 2nd place finish, and another great points today for Liam Draper. Will jump up from 4th to 2nd in the overall points, meaning he will be the closest challenger to Ben Kelly as we head into round 5. A great ride here today for Liam Draper. 2nd place a year ago at this facility, 2nd place 3 weeks ago at Talladega, and another consistent 2nd place performance for Liam Draper on the Pro Yamaha. And here comes Ben Kelly, the big number 1 plate on his bike, looking to round out the podium here today. He is your points leader coming into the day, will leave as your points leader. That points lead will shrink a little bit. We'll go down from 38 to 29, but still a great salvage points day for Ben Kelly, rounding out the podium in 3rd place.
Yeah, been on this 450 for a week now, and I'm happy with it. Just been a little under the weather with allergies lately. I can't stop coughing and stuff. Been struggling, but I've been really happy with this past week on my riding and everything. And got out front, got ahead of Jordan, was just cruising behind him, just figuring the track out, got out front, and then I dropped the hammer real quick for a lap and got to like a 30-second gap, and I'm like, well, I'll just cruise. And then I kept getting pit boards saying I kept pulling, and I was like, I don't know how I'm pulling right now because I feel like I'm just like kind of just riding around. And honestly, yeah, I was to ride for 60-70% all day and win by that much. I'm really happy on my riding. Yeah, I'm pumped. I needed to get that bad juju off my back. That's all I gotta say. And this one's for Johnny G. I miss you, Johnny, and you got to get back to the races here soon, buddy.
Yeah, it was a good day. Kind of an average start. I thought I was further up than what I was actually, but Grant got away in the dust and I couldn't see him. But yeah, it was a track that you really had to be on it, man. There's some big holes and square edges out there in the dust. You couldn't see them. It was a track you could really ruin a year on, I believe. But not super good day, good points, and we're out of here safely. Yeah, definitely. There was sections out here you could really push and get to the guy in front of you, and there were sections you just had to kind of ride and be patient and hang in there. So good day. Plenty of ponds out there, so at least I didn't find one of them today.
I had a pretty good jump off the start, you know, right there, 4th or 5th, and yeah, I could like kind of see the leaders. We were running there in the beginning, but I feel like I put myself in a good spot. I got 3rd or 4th or something, and yeah, I just kind of was struggling to pass a few guys, and I kind of lost my flow and rhythm, and kind of had like a lull there in the middle, and made some mistakes, and Stu and Liam got by me, and then like that just created more dust. So I was just mad at myself because then there was just cruising at times, and yeah, I don't know. I just don't take the risk in the dust anymore, which is what it is. But I pushed as hard as I could and fought, made a few more passes, and then was in 4th on the last lap, and Stu had an issue, so salvaged 3rd again on what I would call as a bad day, because I was just didn't feel like I had it. But yeah, it was an okay day for me.
Top 3 in the XC1. Let's hear you get loud and proud for them one time. Your top 3, Grant Davis, Liam Draper, and Ben Kelly. There it is. We are popping bottles up on the XC1 GNCC podium here from the FMF Camp Coker Bullet.
The Progressive National Cross Country Racing Series, your AMA National Championship, rolls into Hazard, Kentucky for round number 5, the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes GNCC. The first competition held in Kentucky since 2013, and Grant Davis, the kid, looking to go back-to-back in rounds 4 and 5. Anything can happen, a brand new location, and it's just about time to throw the green flag here live on Racer TV.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Look at that. That is a full XC1.
Is this a NASCAR race? I think if Johnny can maybe send it around the outside like he's trying to do there. I'm on the hot day. Just Tough gets the overall win with an lap time of 3:10.04, edging out Stu Baylor by less than 3 seconds.
Racing dirt bikes, it's a lifestyle. It's something where every single choice you make sets you on the path to how you're going to succeed or perform. You live this every second of the day.
Stu hauling the mail.
Stu is one of the most gritty riders out there.
Johnny out front, Caleb pushing as hard as he can.
This is everything they have. That was a battle. That was a hell of a ride by both of those men.
Like he's got a cougar on the back of the bike.
Stu Baylor taking the inaugural Talladega GNCC win. Been doing a great job. Extremely patient, extremely intelligent out there, even in the heat of battle. And it's paying off for him right now.
2 wins in a row for King Kelly.
Overall leader, Grant Davis, as well as your physical leader out on the course.
Checkers and records, and Grant Davis comes out on top. Your overall winner on corrected time and physically.
3 hours is a long time. 3 hours of racing is gnarly.
I know I can show up and I know I can win on any given week.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 5 of the 2026 Progressive GNCC racing season. We're here at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes GNCC for the first time in Hazard, Kentucky. It's been since 2013, Johnny, since GNCC has been doing battle here in Kentucky. It's good to be back.
It's great to be back in Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky loves racing, and GNCC loves Kentucky. We're happy to be back here. Obviously, a new-to-us property. It is a very exciting racetrack. We have some unique conditions, and it's definitely going to be a battle out there. But the battle already raging through 4 rounds this season, and just 3 weeks ago, we saw it all go down at Camp Coker, and man, what a race it was then.
Yeah, we take a look at our specialized race recap from round number 4, the sands of Camp Coker. Always an exciting stop, but man, seems like in 2026, it just brought an extra level of heat. We've been talking about the kid, Grant Davis. He was arguably one of the biggest focal points of the 2025 season, made that long-anticipated XC1 debut, and just quite hasn't been able to stay consistent. He's got 1 top 20 result overall so far, and it's a 2nd place until round 4 when he gets the job done with a win. It was an incredible performance, but at the end of the day, Johnny, he's still not the one running that reverse plate. It's his teammate Ben Kelly out front in the XC1 class.
That's right, and with a 29-point gap on Grant. Now, not 29 points on 2nd place, which is Liam Draper, but 29 points over Grant. So Grant was, as you pointed out, and rightfully so, right in the mix for championship talk coming into 2026, but with 2 DNFs in the first 4 rounds. really put him in a hole. But the quickest way to dig out of that is to grab wins, get those bonus points, and he did just that a few weeks ago with a very commanding win at that. And also coming into the race, switching from the 350 he had been riding through the first 3 rounds to the 450 machine, coming out saying, I like this bike better, and we're going to show everybody. He sure showed it.
The depth has gone from just the XC1 class to now all the way well into the XC2 class. So, like you said, if you couldn't be more excited, it's hard to beat what we've got going on here in 2026. Round number 5, and there's just about only one thing left to do. We're going to get ready to send things down to Jackson Burrell, who stands by with our trail boss, Jared Bolton. We've been talking about this new course. Let's learn a little bit more about it.
All right, thanks guys. I'm with the trail boss, Jared Bolton. Jared, as GNCC makes this long-awaited return to Kentucky, what can we expect this weekend?
Brand new facility. We're starting with a blank slate. This is a riding park, but we've actually kind of gone in and made a bunch of our own stuff. What's pretty unique here, this is an old strip mine, so the elevation change is absolutely huge. They basically came in here and just scraped the top of this mountain off as far back through here as you can see. What that does for us is actually gives us a blank slate to come in and create a bunch of new stuff. They've got some awesome trails here for side-by-sides and ATVs, but that doesn't always make a great racetrack. So what we've done is we've come through and we've made a whole new trail system, kind of zigzags around the top side of this property and save some steep stuff for those pro bikes later in the weekend. I've called this the most West Coast, East Coast race I've ever seen. It definitely has kind of a more West Coast vibe, but it still gets into some tighter, twisty stuff like we're used to here on the East Coast. We did find some, some woods here and there. It's not all scrub brush. There's some good trees out there in places, and that'll slow you down, kind of get you more to like a traditional GNCC speed that we're used to. And of course, we're in Kentucky. We're in the mountains. There's going to be some rock. Absolutely going to be some rock, but it's not a full-blown rock race like you'd see at Snowshoe or even when we were over in Beckley. This will be a pretty unique opportunity for us, do something a little bit different, and got some great support from Knott County, Kentucky here putting this thing together. It's going to be an awesome weekend.
Well, there we have it, guys. I'm going to let Jared get back to it, and I'm going to head down to the starting line. Back up to you.
Well, there you have it, folks. You got to see what these guys are going to be facing out there today for 3 hours from Kentucky at this new facility here at the Dukes. We're going to get the racing action underway here very soon, but first we're going to throw it down to our man Jackson Burrell to do some 10-second calls, and we're going to bring you all of the action live here on Racer TV.
But I'll tell you, I feel like they're going to be putting a hurting on this Kentucky course here today. Want to welcome everybody watching on Racer TV. Thanks for joining us here at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes. As we get ready to introduce to you your starting lineup, as I always say, to line up on the front row of the GNCC, you have to be one of the best off-road riders in the world, and there's no doubt about it. We have the best riders for you in the world. And without any further ado, let's introduce you to them. Rolling to the line first, out of our XC1 Open Pro class, it is going to be the #1, your defending champion, making his way from Connecticut on the FMF KTM Factory Racing Backed Ride. Say hello to Ben Kelly. Rolling to the line next, he is aboard the #2 machine on the FMF KTM Factory Racing Back #2 from Pennsylvania. Take that back. The 198 is going to be the next one that's going to ride to the line, and he is on his way now from Waynesburg, Pennsylvania on the Ampro Yamaha machine, Liam Draper. Rolling to the line next aboard the #3 machine from Livingston, Tennessee on the Phoenix Racing Honda. Let's hear it for Jordan Ashburn. Rolling to the line next aboard the 342 Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Factory Racing Back Drive from Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. Say hello to Craig DeLong. Rolling to the line next aboard the #8 machine, making his way from North Carolina on the Phoenix Racing Honda. Say hello to Mike Wikowski. Now rolling to the line next. On the number 2 FMF KTM Factory Racing Back Drive from Pennsylvania, the Playboy, Grant Davis. Rolling to the line next. Aboard the 514. Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki from South Carolina, Stuart Baylor Jr. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 7 Liquid Moly Factory Beta Racing Back Ride from North Carolina, Josh Strain. Rolling to the line next, he will be aboard the 99 Liquid Moly Factory Beta Racing Back Ride from Illinois, Cody Barnes. Rolling to the line next, aboard the 989 Racecraft Husqvarna from West Virginia, Thad Duvall. Rolling to the line next, aboard the 336 Morning Duck Racing JDP Suspension and Moose Racing back Honda from Mocksville, North Carolina, Ryder Lafferty. Rolling to the line next, aboard the 206 Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki. Calling North Carolina home, say hello to Josh Toth. Making his long-awaited return back to racing once again on the 557 Ampro Yamaha from Boonville, North Carolina. Welcome back, Caleb Russell. And last but certainly not least, aboard the 314 Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki, calling South Carolina home, say hello to Grant Baylor. Woo. And that, my friends, is going to be your starting row. For row number 1, your XC1 Open Pro class. Like I said, some good old boys, never meaning no harm. But they're going to be putting a hurting on this Kentucky progressive GNCC race course we have here today. I can guarantee you that. All right, everybody, at this time, we're going to ask you to shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we have a very special presentation for you here today. There's a ton of good people we need to talk to here in beautiful Knott County, Kentucky. All right, at this time, I'm going to hand the microphone over to the one and only Mr. Eric Hubbard, Director at Backroads of Appalachia from the Economic Development through Motorsports. We thank you for being here. We thank you for all that you've done for us here this weekend. I'm going to go ahead and hand the microphone over to you, my friend.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, always welcome to Eastern Kentucky. We won't know you all, but I'm tongue-tied. We always want you around. We always like to have the GNCC back, and anything you and your families we could ever do at Backroads of Appalachia, please let us know. That also goes for the First Frontier Appalachian Trail Authority. But we are so honored to have you here, and we wish you all hope you have a wonderful day, had a wonderful weekend, and please come back. With that, we do have a couple of things that's all right to talk about. Since we are called the Duke here now, we took the availability and the ability with Senator Brandon Smith and also the city of Hazard, Kentucky, to name some Dukes and Duchesses of Hazard. So what does that mean? You are an official Duke or Duchess of the city of Hazard of Kentucky. And with that, I'd like for Zach here to read it and for us to go over and talk about it and also invite our people up.
All right, guys. So on behalf of the mayor, Mayor Happy Mobilini, and the City Commission of Hazard, Kentucky, be it here known to all these present shall come greeting. Know that Mr. Ricky Towery is Duke of Hazard. Miss Lynn Towery, Duchess of Hazard, is commissioned an honorary citizen of the city of Hazard, Kentucky. Hereby confer this honor with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto. Ricky, hang on 1 second. Let me keep this. Yours is in there. And there's keys to the city in there, too. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys. All right, we've got our next set here. To all these present shall come greeting. Know that Miss Carrie Russell, Duchess of Hazard, and Mr. Stu Baylor, Duke of Hazard. I think he's been playing around downtown some, too. That's what I heard. Is commissioned an honorary citizen of the city of Hazard, Kentucky. Thereby confer this honor with all the rights, privileges, responsibilities that thereunto appertaining.
Congratulations, Carrie.
Yes.
Stu. There you go. I'll get arrested after John.
Well, real quick for Stu, everybody, so they know what happened. Stewart was testing in another location. He called me, said the City of Hazard welcome sign. Do you think I would get in trouble or arrested for jumping that? I said, give me 5 minutes. So we called the officials and made sure it was okay. They, of course, sent the police out to make sure the road was closed. And we can't wait to see the video of Stewart jumping it. And then if that's not what it takes to become a Duke, I don't know what is.
There it is. Thank you very much, guys. And before we let you go, we have a little special presentation for you as well. Mr. Eric Hubbard, here, the director of Backroads of Appalachia. Here you go, my friend. That is for you. Thank you for all you've done for us here this weekend. And that's not all. We have one as well for the Honorable Judge Jeff Dobson. Thank you very much, sir, for all your help here having us in Kentucky. And with that, I believe we are good to go racing, everybody, with all things said and done. Let's do it. It is time to set it off. The Dukes and Duchess have been named here today. Man, it takes a lot of people to put on a GNCC like this and have a facility, the town, the state. Everybody has to be all in one, and they were here for this one. Once again, thank you all that made this possible. But without further ado, it's time to do what we came here for, and that is some progressive Grand National cross-country racing as DJ Judd hops in the R-Max 1000. He throws on the gold sparkle helmet, and say it with me. This is where we like to ask DJ Judd, remove the meat. Keep your eyes down in turn number 1. At Mr. Ricky Towery, the Duke now, Mr. Ricky Towery. He is going to be the maestro in this race. We will go as Ricky goes. When Ricky waves that blue flag, that means our riders need to shut those machines down when he sticks his left arm out. That is going to signify 10 seconds until they're headed into turn number 1. And it looks like we are just about ready to roll now. Ricky's gonna step into place. The Duke takes a look down through the line. He makes sure our riders are ready to roll. Ricky gets that blue flag locked and loaded. He takes a look down at the watch. And there it is. Blue flag waves, blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. And as it goes quiet here in Kentucky, I have just one question for you out there. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? Oh, that's pretty good. Well, GNCC makes its return back to Kentucky after 13 years. I think we can do a little bit better than that. I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready, Kentucky, to go GNCC racing? In 10 seconds for XC1 Open Pro row number 1. And the green flag flies, and a great drive from Ben Kelly. Is it going to be enough? He sweeps up through the middle, and it'll be the number 3 machine, the Honda. Going to jump up and grab it. Jordan Ashburn grabs the whole shot in the early lead on that Phoenix Racing Honda machine. And now here we go with row number 2, your XC2 250 Pro class. Blue flag wave, shut them down. And here we go in 10 seconds for your XC2 250 Pro. And the green flag flies for Angus Reardon, Jack Walker, Toby Cleveland, Jason Tino, Brody Johnson, Gavin Simon, Christopher Paris, and Jason Lipscomb. And it's going to be the 2-1-3 with a hand in the air. Toby Cleveland grabs the whole shot, and he's going to lead them into the woods. Here we go. Blue flag waves here for row number 3. 258 class set to roll in 10 seconds for Lane Whitmer, Colton Shields, Michael DeLoza, Ryan Piper, Josh Connor, Dylan McDonald, Cooper Jones, Chase Landers, Kyle McDonald, Collier Martinez, James Jenkins, Elliott Cox. Who's it going to be? The 414. Caleb Wood gets the job done. James Jenkins, Elliott Cox, Caleb Wood, Hunter Smith, Tyler Irvin, all in this one, as well as Lane Smith and Owen Barnes. Blue flag waves for row number 4. Open A, set to roll in 10 seconds for Cole Whitmer, Isaiah Brown, Samuel Evans, Joe Shriver, Van Adams, Colby Goodman, Will Stephen Piper, Trevor Holland, Cameron Walker, Devin Moore, Keelan Rupp, Easton Uplinger, Riley Welcher, Mason Grove. Who's it going to be? The 68 machine. Samuel Evans gets the job done, the West Virginia native. Mason Grove, Tyler Hamrick, and Caleb Ferguson also in this one. Here we go, row number 5, shut them down. 4-stroke A-Lights headed into turn number 1 in 10 seconds. Doc Smith, Brody Amos, Logan Pellegrini, Brady Beerbaum, Ryan Amoncio, Lennox Riley, Bryce Woodrum, Jack Wallen, Braden Baisley, Cian Connery, Travis Lynch, Joseph Shellett, Ethan Harwell, Kate Stats. Who's it going to be? The 511 is who it's going to be. That is Jigs Fustini. Brady Weimer, Wiley Tucker, Logan Rennegar, all in this one. Here we go, row number 6. 150A in 10 seconds. Green flag flies for Charlie Simpson, Colton McQuarrie, Gabriel Jimenez, Landon Barker, Arson Bonner, and Parker Savage. Who's it going to be? The gas machine going to be able to grab it. That is the 421 of Gabriel Jimenez out of North Carolina. Young gun, 14 years old. Here we go, row number 7, shut them down. Junior A 25 plus in 10 seconds. Walker Hashman, Russell Smith, Deshaun Horton, Tyler Brandon, Eli Childers, Devin Hall, Wyatt Ford, Hayden Dillon, Sean Cochran, Brandon Gearing, all in this one. Some riders down in turn number 1. It is the 255 of Russell Smith that grabs the whole shot. Caleb Hagan, Aaron Higgins, Frank Gallo, Braden Moore, all in this one, and a few more. One rider down in turn number 1 there, Ricky. And here we go, blue flag waves for row number 8 as that rider gets back up and rolling. Our vet A-class set to roll in 10 seconds for Robbie Norwood, Michael Jarasco, Evan Maynard, Ryan Kazmaier, Thomas Truster, Matthew Dreyer, Dylan Davis, Matt Modick, Sammy Doris, Andrew Boggs, and Matthew Mills. Who's it gonna be? The 300 machine of Robbie Norwood out of North Carolina. Here we go, row number 9. Blue flag waves for our senior A 40 plus, and they're ready to roll in 10 seconds for Joe Marsh, Frank Messina, James Bauer, Robert Esquivel, Jason Truster, Danny Haffel, Travis Geen, Stephen Meacham, and a couple more, but who's it going to be with the whole shot? The 407 was fighting for it, too close to call, though. Row number 10, blue flag waves, four-stroke B lights, ready to go in. 10 seconds for Brody Bolin, Maddox Moritz, Owen Muck, Tucker McCrary, Alan Geen, Treston Walker, Bryson Milligan, Will Thurfer, Philip Likens, Zane Davis, Clyde Norris, Hunter Carey, Seth Miller, and Sam Klein. Ryder Rick, that is. And Ryder Rick almost up there, but it is going to be Hunter Carey that grabs the whole shot and leads them into the woods. Row number 11, blue flag waves, shut them down. 250B, ready to roll in 10 seconds. Isaac Leitner, Brandon Slatzer, Brandon Bailey, Levi Jones, John Fee, Noah Morrill, Christian McCauley, Matt Gray, Colin Gear, and Logan Grounds, Cyrus Butts, Joey Spade, Miley Shadwell, Mason Soul, and Spencer Knight. And it is Rounds that's going to get it on the 52 machine on the back of the jersey. That's Logan Grounds, I do believe, with the whole shot. Here we go, row number 12, blue flag waves. Open B headed into turn number 1 in 10 seconds. Luke Thurfield, Colton Salbluski, Austin Benninger, Jacob Blakely, Ben Thomason, Jace James, Jonathan Bottomy, and Colton Painter. The Yamaha machine tucks to the inside, and it's going to be enough. That's the 283. Austin Benninger from Maryland gets the job done. Row number 13, blue flag waves, 150B. In 10 seconds. Green flag flies here for Jagger Eckstein. Zach Johnson, I should say, Ashton Pellegrini, Dylan Royer, and Hayden Newsom. Who's going to get the whole shot? It is the 541 of Ashton Pellegrini. Blue flag waves for row number 14, your senior B 40 plus in 10 seconds. Larry Hopper, Bennett Phipps, Jesse Pukski, Albert Schweitzer, Roger Brown, Philip Solid, Jason Corbett, Jeremy Nance, Brett Newsom, Joey Nachi, and Bob Rayburn. Who's going to get the job done? The KTM machine. 590 on the helmet. That is going to be Jeremy Nance, the Ohio man, getting the job done. Row 15, shut them down. Junior B 25 plus, headed out in 10 seconds. Tyler Rose, Michael Hall, Craig Yeomans, Doug Hughes, David Keene, Dylan Fleming, Cameron Hughes, Tyler Daniel, Easton Ewing, Kevin Campbell, Billy Saliga, and Nick Cottle. Who's it gonna be? Man, what a drive from the 416. David Keene gets the job done here in his home state. Blue flag waves for our final row. Last but not least, they're ready to go in 10 seconds for the Vet B 30 plus. Max O'Donko, Jason Foltz, Andrew Cook, Justin Bond, Chris Johnson, Leroy Petrie, Joshua Clintz, Matthew Hall, William Shoemaker, Zachary Floyd, Dustin Stanley, all headed in to the woods. The 440 of Leroy Petrie going to get the job done, the West Virginia native. Zachary Floyd, Dustin Stanley, Michael Spencer, and Joseph Evans also in this one. And with that, the starting line going to be free and clear. We are off and rolling here at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes GNCC. We'll be right back with more action on Racer TV. Flies, and a great drive from Ben Kelly. Is it going to be enough? He sweeps.
get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What?
Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Gentlemen, and welcome to beautiful Knott County, Kentucky for round 5 of the 2026 Progressive GNCC Racing Series. We're here at the Mind-Made Adventure Park for the Rocky Mountain ATVMC Dukes GNCC. The first time GNCC has been back in the great state of Kentucky in 13 years. And, man, it is good to be back. Zach Herron here alongside Johnny Gallagher. Jackson Burrow going to be making his way back from the starting line. Johnny, blue skies, a little bit cooler today. We had some rain overnight, but I honestly think it's all for the better. It's going to make great racing here for the next 3 hours.
Absolutely, Zach. You know, better conditions here today. We won't say quite perfect. We could have used a little more rain, but a huge improvement over the dust these guys were fighting yesterday. You can see that it is really allowing the riders to follow a lot closer. Some battles, not that we were really short of battles yesterday in our 2-hour ATV race, but they were having to charge through blinding dust to keep that pace. Today, you can see very little dust kicking up in most of the sections of racetrack here. Again, that is a product of the rain we got yesterday evening and again this morning, but a very, very welcoming facility, county, the state of Kentucky. Everybody has welcomed us here to Hazard, Kentucky for the inaugural Dukes with open arms, and it's been a great event all weekend. We expect some amazing action here today on screen.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So many great people involved. Of course, our friends at First Frontier Appalachian Trails, Backroads of Appalachia, and the Appalachian Overland Triangle, a big part of helping make this happen, but couldn't do it without each and every person involved. But we've got our leaders on screen. But let's show you how this party got started as we take a look at our specialized start recap. Now, don't get me wrong, starts maybe not quite as crucial. I don't even know if you can say that. Not quite as crucial as yesterday. The blinding dust maybe not going to be as much of a factor, but best believe these guys want to get out front, and you could tell the KTM boys wanted it bad. Ben Kelly, what a jump. Goes just a little deep in that first corner, and it's going to be the Phoenix Racing Honda of Jordan Ashburn grabbing the XC1 Pro whole shot. Ben Kelly and Grant Davis in the 2 and 3 spot. And fun fact, the 989 of Thad Duvall in that 4th place spot, it was 13 years ago, but the last time we were GNCC racing in Kentucky, he was your winner. Looked like Thad Duvall up there in the mix, as well as now we take a look at your XC2 250 Pro. Flag went down, and it was a drag race headed into turn 1. It's hard to tell because he's rocking that camo gear, but that's Toby Cleveland rocketing in and out of turn 1 with a fist in the air, and he is going to grab that XC2 Pro hole shot. Gavin Simon on the other Husqvarna in that number 2 spot. It looks like that's Jason Tino sliding his way into the number 3 spot just in front of Brody. Oh, look at that. Johnson actually making a couple of moves around Jack Walker on that Liquid Moly Factory Beta. So a lot of the heavy hitters up front early in both the XC1 and XC2 classes. Johnny, we take a look at our Yamaha Racing track map. Brand new facility, which presents its own challenges as well. The dirt not being worked in, the land not quite used to what GNCC is all about. We're cutting thorns down. We still got some stickers hanging around, some, what do we call it, scrub that you were talking about yesterday. And one thing's for sure, though, great racing.
Yeah, great racing action. This Yamaha Racing track map shows little differences from yesterday. Yesterday's track, hard to tell. This map doesn't show topography, but we're kind of up on top of a hill here. What was once a mountain, strip mined, or mined, I should say. Don't know that it was strip mined. A lot of it pushed over the edges, so some very steep edges. We saw that yesterday. The guys in the dust just checking up, looking down over those edges and ledges along the way. Well, today's track, they were able to make some single track that goes down into the larger hardwoods. So we will have this great drone coverage that you're seeing here from our Yamaha Racing live drone, but we'll also have some ground cameras down there, and it's really going to show how much tighter some of this single track is for the motorcycles here today. We can see one rider making very quick moves. Stu Baylor was about mid-pack off the start, now already up to the number 2 spot behind the Phoenix Racing Honda of Jordan Ashburn. Ashburn, he's very comfortable in these conditions. Well, I mean, we talk about it. Jordan loves the mud. Jordan loves the dust. Basically, when the conditions get extreme, Jordan absolutely excels, and I don't, maybe extreme isn't the word for it, but a little bit different than a traditional GNCC here today, so I expect to see Jordan be a force to be reckoned with. But Stu just granted his Duke's
official Duke ship, yep, officially.
I don't know how you say that, but he is a Duke. He was Duke.
Yep,
he was
Duke.
Duked.
Yep.
He has been Dukeified, and trying to get Duke Baylor trying to get himself to the front here, and is up in the number 2 spot. There we see looks to be Ben Kelly. They're still in the number 3 spot after that real quick jump he had off the line. And man, I got to tell you, when you were going through that XC2 start, I don't know if you saw the 226 of Jason Tino last off the line and about 3rd or 4th into the woods, making quick moves. Again, probably a product of yesterday, kind of seeing how dusty it was. Completely different here today. Yes, there's dust kicking up, but if you watched our show yesterday, absolutely just blinding throughout much of the course. So this is much better conditions here today. Looks like we've got some more riders. Looks like the 342 of Craig DeLong, then the 198 of Draper on that Ampro Yamaha. Craig DeLong, a rider that very familiar with these conditions. His home in Pennsylvania is very similar dirt with kind of the mixed in rock like this. So I think we'll see big things out of him here today as well. Here we are looking at Ben Kelly there in the number 3 spot. Again, our leaders, Jordan Ashburn, Stu Baylor. Now here comes DeLong in that 4th spot. Then it is the 198 of Draper. Next up, we should see the 342. Oh, actually, Grant Davis snuck through there as well. So Grant Davis there, and he is a rider we'll be keeping an eye on after a very dominant performance just 3 weeks ago in the Sands of Camp Coker's at.
No doubt about it. We just saw Michael Kowski also on that Phoenix Racing Honda. And Davis, we were kind of talking about it. I feel like this is the type of scenario where Davis could go really, really fast. We just saw Josh Strang making his way through. There is Thad Duvall dropping back a couple of spots. Looks like that's Ryder Lafferty as well. Now Grant Baylor into the mix, and then the return of Caleb Russell on that Ampro Yamaha. But the conditions, we heard it even from our WXC riders earlier today, you can go really, really fast. But sometimes just because you can doesn't mean that you should, because it's also one of those things where it just takes one pesky rock that doesn't move or land quite the way that you think, and it can absolutely spit you sideways and spit you on the ground. So we'll see how hard kind of managing that risk versus reward, not just from Grant Davis, but from all of our riders pushing forward. Jordan Ashburn in the pilot seat for right now, but you can say Stu's got his Dukes up if you are ready for a fight there. Full Duke of Hazard, actually jumped the hazard sign there in Kentucky. I didn't know about that. I just found out about that on the start. I can't wait to see the clip of it. But this good old boy is looking to bring the fight right to Jordan Ashburn. But Jordan, like we've said all season long, he's sitting quietly in 3rd place in points, and Jordan is just, he's consistent and he flies under the radar. I don't know what it is about him, whether it's his demeanor, the calm personality, but it just feels like Jordan is not somebody that we're ever like, man, we got to keep an eye on this guy. But at the same time, every round I feel like we're talking about him, whether it's a good start, whether it's charging forward, and we know the guy is as fit as it gets to go the full 3 hours. Ashburn would not be surprised to see him completely control this thing from the front.
Absolutely, and Jordan Ashburn, a rider that, like you said, flies under the radar, and he's content to be there. He doesn't really seek the spotlight at all. He's just a quiet Tennessee boy, always been that way, been a force and a factor in this XC1 class at this point now throughout several different decades. So he's sporting that big Dale Earnhardt-inspired 3, and there is Baylor in the number 2 spot on that Red Bear Rocky Mountain ATV MC Kawasaki. There's Kelly in 3rd, our points leader and defending champion. That is still the 342 of DeLong in the number 4 spot, but it looks like Liam Draper is trying to join the party there, and then here comes the Playboy, Grant Davis there. And we know Grant was bad fast 3 weeks ago in South Carolina, and this is a track where if you're willing to hang it out, you can make up some time. He's going to need to do that if he wants to catch those leaders. Witkowski coming through there as well on that Phoenix Racing Honda. So a big mix of brands, a big mix of teams, and a big mix of riders up front. So right now the pace is fast. Jordan Ashburn is setting a fast enough pace that Stu Baylor, you can tell he's throwing everything at it. While he is right there, not able to get close enough to really make a move on Jordan Ashburn. No dust to speak of today that's really limited in the vision. It's just Jordan is putting down a pace that Stu's kind of trying to ride himself into. We can see he's got some different lines, trying to find some right there, just kind of trying to straighten out the track where he can. We saw him kind of crawling the edges in some of our earlier drone shots there. So definitely these guys are searching, figuring the track out, and we think the racing action will only intensify from here.
And I tell you what, we were able to catch a couple of glimpses of our WXC class at various points throughout their race earlier today, and the line selection was fantastic. I mean, some creative stuff, not just like the Bryson Neal creative that we saw yesterday, but really 3 to 4 different lines, able to get around lap riders while also maintain speed and battle it out. But Ashburn putting that Phoenix Racing Honda power down to the ground and is trying to yo-yo things back in his direction, trying to stretch back out over Stu Baylor, and believe we caught a glance back right there as well. A little bit different than what we see oftentimes in the motocross side of things. Off-road, there is a fair amount of that, kind of glancing back, both citing the gap and who it is trying to chase you down.
Well, and to your point there, Zach, I think a lot of times the reason why these riders want to know not just how close someone is, but who it is behind them. They'll race different riders differently.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm sure that Jordan knows Stu kind of has the reputation as a guy who really thrives at these new tracks. There was even some fodder before the race about, hey man, if it's a new track and I'm on the t-shirt, I'm winning that thing. So you know he's going to be charged from the get-go. And what better way to win one of these things than just get out front and run away? We've not seen Stu do that this year. He does have a race win, but it was a battle really the whole way until Grant Davis had that problem towards the end of our Talladega race 2 rounds ago. So Jordan knows that Stu's a rider that will be very aggressive and not dirty, but he will take a shot if it's presented. So Jordan, maybe a little sense of extra urgency there and really trying to push to keep Stu at arm's length. And Ben Kelly hanging tough early on. Not normally a rider that's strong early in these races. He tends to kind of ride himself into the battle, and we've seen that a lot, especially on tracks where he's not as comfortable. We see him oftentimes fade back outside the top 5, sometimes even towards the tail end of the top 10 or worse. But when it comes right down to it, when you look at the points, Ben Kelly seems to charge his way through, get himself to where he needs to be late in these races to score the points, to keep himself in that championship lead that he's been holding for the last few rounds, especially with that big dominant win in Florida. A lot of the talk coming into the race is that this is about as West Coast as GNCC gets, and you can tell by looking here, Zach, you know, we've got this scrub, we've got a lot of different lines opening up. It just provides these riders a lot of opportunities to open up the racetrack, not necessarily fall into the one same line that a lot of times you have with the larger hardwoods that limit your ability to move around. And obviously the dust was a big factor yesterday, whereas last night with the rain we got coming down, I believe the measurements that I had heard were roughly 3/4 of an inch of rain, which this track, obviously not muddy, but it definitely has kept the dust down. Nowhere near as thick, visibility much better here today, and it's already leading to a lot of riders being able to follow much closer. We saw that develop later in yesterday's ATV race as they figured the track out, but here these guys seem comfortable pushing the pace right off the rip.
And to your point, I was just going to say in some of those bigger open shots, that was where we saw. Yesterday it was so funny for me seeing, I believe it was Shadron, that I was like, why is he letting off? Yeah. And you did a great job of explaining from overhead. It looks so simple. Just the trail goes straight to hit the throttle, but down on ground ground level, it is so difficult to see through those thick clouds of dust. Today, not what we're hearing from any of the riders on any of our podiums. Yes, you can follow as close as you want. You might get sprayed with some rocks, and that certainly doesn't feel good. But these guys, as tough as the rocks themselves, they're able to follow as close as they want. And, I think anytime the vision is not as big of a deal, whether it's the mud or the dust, I think these guys feel a little bit safer and are able to race a little bit harder as well.
Well, yeah, and I think we will see the dust become more of a factor as we get later into this race, just because the sun is shining very, very brightly, and we've got quite a bit of wind as they're just now coming down to the chicanes to complete lap number 1 here. So Jordan Ashburn looking like he's going to maintain that lead. But earlier in the race, more moisture in the track as it dries out. The wind is blowing. Cool temps here today, only in the high 50s. I think the high for the day is only 60 degrees. Yesterday, quite a bit warmer than that, and Friday, quite a bit warmer than that. I think we were well up into the 80s yesterday, so about a 20-degree difference between yesterday and today. Now we see Stu Baylor has checked in, Ben Kelly in that number 3 spot. Here comes Craig DeLong across the line of 4th, Draper right on his rear wheel there in 5th, and then it is the Playboy Grant Davis in 6th. Looks like Witkowski back there in 7th. Looking at lap times, 25 minutes, 12 seconds was the lap time for the leader, Jordan Ashburn. So we'll start doing some math here in a little bit, as will the race control team. They'll let us know how many laps we're looking at. That was a big point of discussion coming into the race. The guys were saying, it seemed like a little bit shorter lap times yesterday for the quads, about 21 minutes toward the end of the race, and the track seemed to be getting faster. So there was talk, will this be 6, 7, possibly 8 laps? We don't make those decisions.
Absolutely.
But we will report it as soon as we are told what the plan is. And you can see the dust now starting to get a little thicker. Liam Draper actually choosing to cut down early in that corner instead of going out to the berm. Part of it, looking for traction. He is running a different tire, which we'll talk about that throughout the race. But you can see Craig DeLong there. Maybe you can't, but if you look close, you can tell that is that Dunlop EN 91, which many of the riders, Ben Kelly in front of him, Jordan Ashburn. So the top 3 all in that Dunlop EN 91. Liam Draper back there in the 4th spot, actually running a trials tire.
Okay.
So completely different setup. If you're not familiar with what that is, you can go online, look it up. It's more of it doesn't actually have knobs. It's kind of a grooved carcass, and it's very pliable, malleable, gummy almost, you would say. So it really grabs traction in the rocks and slick surfaces. And actually, I'm sorry, Stu Baylor in the number 2 spot also running that trials tire. So there's 2 of those trial tires in the top 4, and then 3 of those EN 91s in the top 5. So it's a big mix out here of what everybody decided to do. Nobody was sure how the track was going to shape up. They were all out pedaling. Saw a lot of bikes with rear wheels off this morning, making changes, and a lot of guys, even on the starting line, that was the discussion. What's so-and-so running? What's so-and-so running? So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Well, and at the center of your screen right now, that's why you see these rock edges kicking out, and they were kicking the quad side to side yesterday. You take 2 wheels off, the balance needed, and the unpredictability. Some of these will roll down the hillside with you. Some of them will completely toss you up. I know one of our girls super mini riders, Vela Laverne, went for quite a ride coming down the hill just before the finish line earlier today. We've seen problems from Randy Richards, Corey Steed throughout their motos as well. And to your point, talking about the timing, it seems like that has carried over to today as well. I know a lot of talk in our AM race. Would it be 4 laps? Would it be 5 laps? They obviously have a minimum that they have to meet before they can throw the checkered flag, and it was down to, I believe, 20 to 25 seconds how close they were. Ended up going that extra lap and actually going just over the 2-hour mark. So got to think those questions going to continue here in the afternoon race as well. But this is part of what I love about new locations is those question marks, and I think between some people being caught off guard with the terrain that they had here when they pulled on site, not to mention Mother Nature. We're never quite sure what she's going to do as well. I think a lot of people were waiting until this morning to make some game time calls.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was, like you said, just game time calls on what they were going to do as far as tires. I heard discussions about suspension setup and also just kind of line selection. Everybody was curious how the track was going to shape up after watching yesterday's ATV race, especially after the rain we got last night. People were discussing, how much, there's your XC2 leader, and followed closely by second place in that XC2, there is Brody Johnson. So Jason Tino definitely on the move here early. Then looks like we've got Jack Walker on that factory beta, and looks like Gus Reardon. So that is your top 4 in XC2 already having, and Toby Cleveland as well. Again, don't see a rider on there. That camouflage gear really making it difficult to see him. But look at this. Stu Baylor putting in a push, getting right to the rear wheel of Ashburn. Just when it looks like Ashburn starts to stretch it out, Baylor just stretches the throttle cable on that big Kawasaki 450,
closes up the gap on the Phoenix Honda rider in front of him, and we have a battle for the lead here.
You know, I feel like the terrain here at the Dukes is a perfect opportunity for Stu to be able to risk it as we see the feet come off the pegs for Stu. I don't think the throttle cracked at all, but the feet were certainly going flying. But I've said it before, Stu Baylor is one of the only guys I've felt like is almost arguably tougher than his machine. Sometimes Stu can push harder than the machine itself can, and we've seen, especially in rocky conditions, sometimes it's the Kawasaki that takes the beating and ultimately leads to him not being able to make it to the finish. So for Stu, it's not all about what the man is willing to put out there. You've also got to make sure that your machines are going to be able to survive, whether it's, I mean, we saw Hunter Hart have some mechanical problems yesterday as far as that front bumper getting bent in. With Stu, it's, hey, man, we're only 30 minutes into this race, still got 2.5 hours to go. Yes, he's pushing hard, but he needs to play it safe as well, make sure he's able to get to that checkered flag. Look at this, problems for Baylor. What is going on with the Kawasaki?
Oh, my goodness, this is big. This machine is not refiring. Hopefully just a flame out, but he is having troubles getting refired. Now he is pushing the machine. Looks like they're potentially going to try to bump start it. Oh, no. Not the announcer's curse. We just talked about whether or not. Oh, it looks like he gets that machine refired.
So strange. And you can see Stu clearly frustrated.
And he's coming in.
He's going to talk to the pits about it.
Oh, did it shut off again? It did. There is definitely a problem for that Rocky Mountain ATV MC Kawasaki rider. You can see the frustration in Baylor running up in the number 2 spot and right on the rear wheels of your leader, and he is visibly frustrated. We can see the goggles flying. He's going to take a walk, try to cool down while they assess that machine.
And that was not the kind of spot that I was talking about where these things would happen. I mean, a relatively flat, simple section, and yeah, all of a sudden it just seemed like the life left the Kawasaki, so not sure what's going on there. Obviously, the Rocky Mountain Red Bear crew going to do everything they can to get him back off and rolling. It looks like Cody Barnes may be having some problems as well, as he was just starting to gain some momentum in that XC1 class.
Yeah, looking like Barnes, I can't tell exactly. I'm not sure what's going on here from our camera shot. Don't know if they're loading him up in that side-by-side. We'll have to get confirmation from our team and see if that is a him issue or bike issue, but we will keep our fingers crossed and hope that Cody is okay and able to rejoin the race if possible. Here we see a battle now. Draper tucking around the inside, trying to get some running room on Craig DeLong. And look at this. He's got around the outside, but Craig DeLong closes the door. DeLong will now maintain what would be the 3rd place spot. So this is the final podium position that you're watching the battle for. Stu Baylor, at least temporarily, out of this race. We're joined in the booth now by Jackson Burrell, back from calling the start action. And man, things are already heating up here, Jackson. And unfortunately, Stu Baylor out of the race, at least at the moment. We saw that machine just shut off coming through the pro pits. I mean, ultimately a good place to have an issue, but you never want to have an issue during the race. And I don't know. And look at this now.
Oh, wow.
Gus Reardon in. It looks like a rear wheel change for Reardon. So fast and furious action in the pits here already on lap number 1. Beginning of lap number 2, the first time that they're coming through those pro pits. So the rider you're seeing on screen out front, that is, when I say out front, the leader of this group, that is Ben Kelly in the number 2 spot. He assumed that position just a few moments ago with Stu Baylor's issue. And then the battle behind him is the battle for the final podium position between Craig DeLong and Liam Draper. Now we see Witkowski, so that will move him up. Looks like he was sitting back. Looking at the overall, it's all jumbled up because we've got the XC2 riders in there as well, as Chase Landers, give him a shout out there from that 258 class all the way up into 8th place overall as he charges. He grabbed the whole shot in that 258 class and has been pushing the pace up inside the top 10 overall, so we'll keep progress of that one. And now actually being updated to 7th overall as we remove Stu Baylor from the running order there. We'll keep tabs on Stu, see if he's able to get back in this race. But an already challenging season, Jackson, for Stu Baylor. Another mechanical issue, not what he needed here today.
Yeah, not at all, Johnny. You said things are heating up, and they seem to be heating up in a very, very big way. Before that started, though, we mentioned it on the starting line there. Stu has been off to a great start of the weekend. We got to see him doing some things like the Duke boys would be doing, Johnny. I think we have the clip of just that.
In the parking lot I used to watch it with my grandpa back when I was, my my kids' age. So definitely living it up and having a good time here. The locals have been awesome. The Hazard County Police are out. Cops shutting the road down for us to go and jump a sign at a 2 minutes notice. Made a run to Walmart, and we figured we would dress the part just to put the icing on the cake for this weekend. So it's good. Obviously, without Nick here this weekend, it's going to be a little bit lower spirits, but we're trying to hold down the fort for him. He was supposed to be Bo with his blonde hair. I was Luke, and then obviously Siege would be Cooter. I just had to steal this from him to get into form. But yeah, we're missing Bo for the weekend, but outside of that, it's looking like it's going to be a good track with some good weather coming in, a little bit of rain on the weekend.
Well, all fun coming into the weekend for Stu Baylor, and always embraces new tracks, new properties in every facility we go to, keeping the team and keeping himself in the spirit. But it's definitely going to be difficult for them to keep in good spirits right now with Stu having a bike issue and a costly one. We'll wait and see what happens, but at this point, with the issues he's already had early on in 2026, bike issues and not finishing races, this could be the final nail in the coffin for the 2026 championships hope for Stu Baylor. When he's able to get to the finish line, obviously always in the mix for a win, in the mix for a podium, but that has been more often than not the case here in 2026.
Yeah, and Johnny, just to be quite frank, that's been a lot of the problem with Stu for most of his career here in the XC1 class. The most winning rider that has never been able to win a championship, and I know that's what he's got his sights set on, and I know that's why he's going to be even that much more frustrated than what we would expect Stu to be. Only finishing 2 out of the 4 races so far, and possibly 2 out of 5, depending on what happens. We do have our man Zach Heron trying to go get a word in with him. If nothing else, Zach should be able to get us some kind of update in some form, so we'll be waiting on that to come in.
Well, here's an update on the battle of the track. We saw Liam Draper making the push, trying to get around Craig DeLong. Well, that seems to have lit a fire under DeLong in that number 3 spot. He has now closed up the gap to the back of the number 1 of Ben Kelly. Now, this is the battle over second, and Draper still sitting very close there in the 4th spot, and Grant Davis starting to stir back in that number 5 spot. Here you see from our ground camera those 3 riders, that is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, with Davis just behind them in 5th. So we've got 4 riders battling over 2nd place, but shout out to Jordan Ashburn starting to march away from these guys out of sight of our Yamaha Racing live drone. Ashburn on that Phoenix Racing Honda looking very fast, very strong, and pulling out a lead here. Zach, you're back. We tried to get an update from Stu,
and all good things from Stu. No issues with Stu as far as not being willing to give a comment. I really didn't even put the pressure on to ask for him, but just deflated. Yeah. I mean, just such a tough situation. There's a great shot of the pit board laying on the ground. It says set the pace, and that's exactly what he was doing. He was bringing the fight to Jordan Ashburn. Still think they're trying to figure out exactly what the issue was. I know they had the seat off. They were getting down into some of the electronics, and even Stu, when Stu's not super emotional with his words, that shows how deep the emotions truly are. So just so frustrating. So many positive vibes coming into this weekend. I heard you guys running the feature on him jumping that Duke sign, and it's so tough because time and time again, as you see, the team's still working over and over. And we talk about Stu as he is kind of the focal point of the team and arguably their premier rider, but it's a whole team. His mechanic, Cody Groves, right there, Ryan Holiday, the entire team tirelessly working just to try to get him to the checkered flag and let him show what he's capable of. And he shows us that time and time again. It's just being able to go the full distance. And, man, just absolute heartbreak. Like I said, I was talking about that. I don't want to claim that one as an announcer's curse. I definitely just think it was some bad luck for him.
Hey, quick announcement for everybody on site. We need the pit crew of Ryan Piper. Once again, the pit crew of Ryan Piper to the finish line trailer. One more time, announcement in the pits for everybody here. We need the pit crew of Ryan Piper over to the finish line trailer.
So there you go. If you are or know the whereabouts of the pit crew for Ryan Piper, please get them over to the finish line trailer. They need them over there as quickly and safely as possible. Going back to our race on screen, looks like, is that Ashburn? Hard to tell. I think it may be. Nope, that's Wick.
I think that's Wachowski, yeah, because Ashburn's usually got the hydration pack.
A little bit further back in the pack, but still well inside the top 10 Mike Wachowski on that Phoenix Racing Honda with his teammate out front leading the way. Wachowski sitting in that 11th place spot overall, but we know much further up in the XC1 class inside the top 10. So the running order in that XC2 class is going to be shaken up as well, as it was Reardon who had made the pass on Jack Walker when they came through the scoring, putting him up in the podium position, but then we saw him in the pit, Zach, making that rear wheel change. So a disappointing start to the day for Reardon, but it looked like they were getting that machine back together. And yeah, back to the Baylor thing. I mean, that's just an absolute heartbreaker to not finish. Potentially, they'll obviously keep trying to get him back on track, but it's going to be very difficult this early in the race when you have an issue like that to try to get yourself back in a position to score points. Becomes very challenging. And if you don't score in the top 20, you score no points here in that XC1 class. That's the way the points work. So he would need to get back into the top 20 overall, not in class, top 20 overall to score any points here today.
Flashing forward here to Jordan Ashburn. There was Stu Baylor taking a look at what we've caught so far here as GNCC makes its return to Kentucky for the first time in 13 years.
At this point now, throughout several different decades. So he's sporting that big Dale Earnhardt-inspired 3, and there is Baylor in the number 2 spot.
And Ashburn's been in control of this one. I mean, just staying calm, cool, and collected. We saw Stu, who arguably can put more pressure on somebody than anyone, and unfortunately, man, things just not going Stu Baylor's way in 2026. He was in the right position. He was wherever he needed to be when he needed to be there, and unfortunately looks like he might be out of this one. The team's still working to try to get that machine refired, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
And they did get that machine refired temporarily, you can see there, and then it shuts off again, he comes in, and that's where things really go sideways. And then here was third place in XC2, Gus Reardon in, rear wheel change for him. So a lot of things happened in the pits already.
Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Things just getting started. How are the next 2.5 hours going to play out? There's only one way to know for sure, and that's to stay tuned in right here on RacerTV.com. We'll be back with more GNCC.
Eliminate the wait and save money by doing it yourself. AMSOIL makes it simple with oil change kits that include exactly what you need in one convenient package. Choosing the right kit is also simple. Just plug your ride into the Shop by Vehicle tool at AMSOIL.com and have your kit delivered right to your door. Get the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Order now at AMSOIL.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires, delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles, automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Family values and a homegrown work ethic. Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Round 5 of the 2026 Progressive GNCC Racing Series. We're here in beautiful Knott County, Kentucky for the Rocky Mountain ATVMC Dukes GNCC. Zach Herron and Johnny Gallagher also joined with the Honorable Judge Jeff Dobson here in the Racer TV truck. Judge, what do we think so about this weekend? It's the first time GNCC's back in 13 years, and we're doing it in big style. We had the dust clouds yesterday, and we've got racing here today as well.
Man, it's just an awesome turnout here today. The little rain last night helped settle the dust, make it for perfect riding today. The turnout's awesome. The race taking off. I mean, so many people reached out to me on what a awesome event this was going to be. So just to be able to see it in person, man, it's huge. It's a huge impact here in Knott County, and we're grateful for you guys, GNCC, to bring attention and stuff here to Eastern Kentucky and Knott County.
And we're super grateful to be able to do just that. I know we were talking yesterday with the senator and, really talking about what GNCC brings to the communities that it visits in. We think about, we're just lucky to be able to race here, but for you guys as well, it's also thousands of people coming to restaurants, to hotels, bringing new revenue into the communities and helping stimulate the economy here as well.
Well, it's just a huge impact because 95% of the people plus here is not even from Eastern Kentucky, let alone the state of Kentucky. So it's bringing outside dollars into Eastern Kentucky and spending here, and folks that are coming to have a good time, and it's just huge. The more people that with outdoor tourism and the economic impact that's given here, it's just huge.
And now I was going to ask, as far as your own personal enjoyment, we got any off-road experience? We're going to get you out here on one of these one day?
Absolutely. My daughter, she's going to be the next big thing, I guess.
There it is.
In dirt track or in dirt bike, and so she's pretty excited about it. She's got a CRF 125 that she got for Christmas this year, and she's pretty pumped, and she's upset that I wouldn't let her get involved in this race. So I think she got to get a little more experience under her belt. She'll be ready to go for next year.
Yeah, no doubt of it. It's certainly better to dip the toe in the water and kind of check this thing out the first time before you go and line up. But it's a ton of fun, and we had obviously our WXC, our women's pro, earlier today as well, and just goes to show this is a welcoming sport for families, friends, men, women, all ages and sizes. Everybody's welcome here at GNCC.
It is, and to see the families out here having fun, and from the smallest of kids up to the adults and things. It's just so family-oriented, and that's what we want to keep it here at the ATV Park here in Mine-Made, here in Leeburn, Kentucky. And, our special thanks goes out to GNCC for hosting this event here and bringing all the folks here. And hopefully you guys have a really good experience and look forward to coming back.
Well, we've certainly had fun so far and still got a few hours to go. Well, Judge, thanks for joining us here in the booth. I know you guys are eager to get back out and pick a spot to do some more watching, but we truly appreciate you guys welcoming us, and hopefully, like you said, this will be a long-running relationship between Knott County and GNCC.
Absolutely. We're honored to share hospitality for you guys, and anything we can do to make things better, we look forward and working together to extend that relationship.
Fantastic stuff.
Thanks, sir.
Big thank you once again, the Honorable Judge Jeff Dobson here in the Racer TV truck. We really appreciate him hanging out with us. And like we said, everybody here from Knott County helping make this happen. Truly been a warm welcome here at GNCC. First time in 13 years, and certainly good to be back. This is Southern hospitality at its finest.
Absolutely, Zach. We talked about that yesterday, obviously, with the senator. All of the groups involved that helped bring this event here and make it happen and make it possible. It's really been a very welcoming experience, and we expect this to be an opportunity for both the facility, GNCC, the county, and the state of Kentucky to all work together to continue to grow this event for the many, many coming years. Back to the action on screen. Ben Kelly still holding on to that number 2 spot. The dust up ahead of him pretty light, which tells me that Jordan Ashburn is continuing to make tracks and open up that gap. But I gotta say, going back to that previous camera shot, the dust looking a lot thicker than I had anticipated this early in the race. So I think that wind, we spoke yesterday, there was a lot of announcements here at the property. Tie your tents down. The wind has been pretty aggressive all weekend, even into Friday. So it's really drying out quickly, and the dust is getting thicker and heavier than I had anticipated for sure. So it's definitely playing a factor here and kind of seeming to spread things out, and it's become definitely a factor early on in this one, much earlier than I had anticipated.
Well, and to your point, yeah, it was kind of the thing that we were talking about positively yesterday. Hey, it's super hot. At least there's a nice breeze coming through. But with this, we were really desperately trying to hang on to that moisture as much as we could throughout the race. Knew things were going to dry out, but I can't help but agree, not quite what I was expecting to see this early in the race.
Look at that right
You can
there.
see Ben Kelly taking advantage of it, though. These guys are so smart, the way they adapt to the conditions out there. He's saying, hey, I'm starting to notice some dust flying. Let me make a little more fly up in the face of Craig DeLong, who Craig, I was just taking a look at his past results so far in 2026, 6'8", 7'6". He's been just on the backside of that top 5, but I really feel like he's shown us some flashes of speed, showing he's getting back into, call it fighting shape, call it what you will, but he's starting to be able to show wheels and bring the battles further up into the top 5.
Well, and the box score for Craig DeLong, maybe not fully representative of how he's been riding these last couple races. He's really been in the mix. I believe at Talladega, I think it was, and maybe last race as well, put on a good charge, and then we saw a missing handguard, bike mangled up a little bit, but then charges back and still gets well inside the top 10. So I think the speed is there, and speaking of speed, that rider right there, Jordan Ashburn, displaying quite a bit of it, and you can see the gap now for the first time in a little bit here from our Yamaha Racing Live drone. He is starting to march away with this one, and this is dangerous for his competitors, because as much as Ben Kelly, as we can see there, Craig DeLong behind him, Liam Draper behind him, looks like possibly Witkowski back there, and we are being told Grant Davis did hit the deck near one of our cameras. Haven't got an update on exactly how quick he got up and going, but we know he has definitely lost positions, or at least a position, as we see Witkowski has definitely made the pass on him now up into the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spot. So that moves Witkowski up to 5th. Now, keeping a look, we don't have our running order on the left side of the screen there, but when we did, it was actually Brody Johnson up into that 3rd place spot overall, the leader of the XC2, followed very closely by Jason Tino. But all that will be updated. We'll put him in the shaker, shake him up, and see how it comes out here after now 2 laps of racing complete. We'll hit the first lap time was a little bit slower, a little bit more track. They do have an additional section of track. So with a 25-minute, 53-second lap time, he was 25:16, I believe it was, on lap number 1 or somewhere around there. So about 35 seconds slower here. We're still showing Stu Baylor in the number 2 spot, so we'll have to wait for that to update. 12 seconds back in the number 2 spot. It is now Ben Kelly, so 12 seconds is the lead for Jordan Ashburn with a lap time of 25:54, so only 1 second off of that lap time of Jordan Ashburn, the leader. And then we see our 3rd place rider, Craig DeLong, on that 342 machine. And man, this is really starting to heat up. I think we're going to see these battles, not only over these podium positions, but on back through the pack, really start to intensify.
Taking a look at our last lap times, it's a little bit quicker actually for DeLong and Draper, both running 25:51s, just a couple of seconds faster than Ashburn and Kelly. And the drone shots here reflective of that as well. Kind of see him just ever so slightly creeping up. And then there at the bottom of your screen, you got Brody Johnson and Jason Tino running 25:27s and 25:29s. We haven't touched on it so far this show, besides maybe in the intros, but I think there's a new sense of urgency in that XC2 class. Your points leader, Nick DeFeo, T-Rex, we hope you're watching at home. Hoping the best for you, man. Going down in a big way, breaking, I believe, a femur and pelvis. That's a big one. And T-Rex, always just a fun face to see around the pits. Always a ton of fun to have, both on and off the track. Not to mention a serious competitor, but now that has busted this XC2 championship wide open.
Well, speaking of XC2, we have a new leader in XC2. Jack Walker, now up into that 5th place spot in the overall, is leading that XC2 class. And as yet, 2nd place still not checked in. He does check in now, and it is Jason Tino, 12.6 seconds behind Walker. So Jack Walker already grabbing a win, his first XC2 win earlier this year in Florida, and looking like he has set his sights on doing it again here today in Kentucky.
Man, I feel like that entire factory Liqui Moly Beta team has really stepped up here in 2026. Josh Strang kind of wearing multiple hats, taking both the managerial role and a role as their XC1 rider, but then they welcome Cody Barnes on. He's really come to life here in 2026 in the XC1 class. But then Jack Walker, on a completely separate note, has just kind of found his confidence. You even talk to him on the podium, and it's like you're talking to a completely different rider, and he's turned that confidence into consistency as well.
And for those 2-stroke fans at home, Jack Walker is out there on a Beta 2-stroke in that XC2 class. So he is, it's a little bit different sound, but the one thing's for sure, the popping bottles still sounds the same if he's able to get himself on that podium, which we've seen him already do this year, and definitely he is riding very well. Look at this, the battle now back on for the number 2 spot. Ben Kelly has it, and it looks like Craig DeLong badly wants it. We did see when we were speaking with our Judge Dobson there that Ben Kelly actually missed a line. He had a little bit of a gap. He kind of had to go low on an off camber. Craig DeLong able to take that inside, drew back to the rear wheel of Kelly, then Kelly able to stretch it out again. So it's that cat and mouse game right now between these two, with Liam Draper sitting back there saying, yeah, if you guys want to knock each other down or slow each other down, that'd be great, because I'd like to get to that number 2 spot sitting back there in the pool.
Well, and Jackson, this is something that we hear a lot talking about as well, even going back to last year, the XC2 class, being able to kind of follow. It was only about 2 or 3 seconds the difference on lap time. Sure, DeLong maybe a couple of seconds faster, but that could be the little tenths here and there of not having to pick a line or seeing, hey, that line very clearly didn't work for Ben Kelly. I'm going to go just to the left or to the right. So right now, DeLong able to kind of creep forward and bring that fight up to the KTM rider, and he's bringing the Ampro Yamaha Liam Draper with him.
Yeah, no doubt. We got to taking a look here, Zach. You're talking about following, man. This continues to dry out here. That might get harder and harder as we go on. And taking a look as Jordan Ashburn leads the way right now, guys. We very well could see another winner here in 2026, and we were actually able to catch up with some of our riders and talk to them about 4 winners in 4 different rounds.
Yeah, it's another one of those years where a lot of guys on the line can get a win, and we've seen that, like you said. And yeah, I have the points lead. I'm happy with it. My last 3 races were good. You know, I have a win and 2 third places, so being on the podium is good, but I'm just content with that. Like, I want to win, so that's the goal every weekend. So yeah, it's kind of tough. It's like you have to swallow your pride at times and kind of settle a little bit. But I've just learned that over the years. I feel like all of my championship running years, I've had the points lead pretty early in the year and just really had to manage it the whole time. So I think I've just learned that over time, and yeah, trying to play it smart, and I just know it's a long season.
And I think that's the big picture game that we hear so many of our riders talking about, not the battles, but focused on the war. And I think at this stage of Ben Kelly's career, that's exactly where he's at. Looked like maybe Russell going around Strang?
That was Caleb Russell going around Josh Strang, and that I was going to point out, we've got the XC1 guys as a class on the move. We saw so many of those XC2 up inside the top 5 and top 10. Now it's mainly XC1. We've only got 2 XC2 riders inside the top 10 and 1 250A rider. Chase Landers sitting in that number 9 spot on the overall. Down a few spots, though, from the previous lap. He was actually 7th. We did obviously see a few of our XC1 riders drop out of the running as well.
Take a look, there is Grant Baylor on screen making his way down the hillside, and believe Walker. Was that Walker right there? Yeah, I couldn't quite see the number colors. We saw Barnes having some issues earlier, so not sure if that would have been him further back, but no doubt about it, Jack Walker is starting to walk his way through this XC1 class as DeLong continuing to put the pressure on Ben Kelly. But just like we said, these two playing around are going to turn it into a 3-rider party. Here comes Liam Draper.
Yeah, Draper, another one of those riders, Stu Baylor and Grant Baylor, both, all 3 of those guys running that trials tire. So we see a different mix here. Both Ben Kelly and Craig DeLong on that EN91, which is it's a tire that they have to run over in Europe when they do 6 days, or if 6 days is here in the States, it has to be an FIM approved DOT tire. So to explain what that means, just a lot shorter knobs. It's not nearly as aggressive. But what these guys say is it's just be a more consistent feel. It doesn't have near as much forward bite in many cases, so they'll kind of slide the rear end more. But on the rocks, you don't have to worry about doing that so much. And the tire holds up very well. It's very durable. So they tend to run it in conditions like this. But Liam Draper back there on that trials tire, making that thing work. He's finding grip in places that some of the other riders can't, and it's drawn him back now to the rear wheel of Craig DeLong.
Well, we did see a quick glance back there from Draper as well. Looked like he was checking to make sure that tire was still A-OK. Then got right back to charging forward, so got to assume that everything is looking good. Is that Joey Nachi there on screen?
Sure is.
Yeah, Joey Nachi, one of our GNCC staff, going a lap down there from Jordan Ashburn. Sure doing a great job just getting out of the way. He might stop, put a stake in, whatever needs to happen.
I love it. Always keeping an eye on the track. We need sweep riders when you got some of the tractor out there actually racing. Ashburn, and yes, that is slow motion a little bit there. Jordan Ashburn going very fast, but look at this. Ben Kelly starting to close up the gap. What was 13th 12.8 seconds. And this battle between these three riders on screen, Draper, DeLong, and also Ben Kelly, is now starting to push them closer to your leader, Jordan Ashburn. He's going to have some company here soon.
Yeah, we talked about it just a little while ago with Ben Kelly in this championship. I feel like Ben Kelly is so good at being able to mitigate risk and try to keep that championship hope alive week in and week out. But another person that I think is so good at doing that is Jordan Ashburn, that's leading the way. And coming into the weekend, I don't think I really put it all together at how much this could suit Jordan here this weekend. This is very similar terrain, I'm sure, to what he has in Tennessee. And, of course, we always say it, he loves the mud, he loves the rocks, and this is a perfect place for it. Not the mud here this weekend, but nonetheless, we got the rocks, and we know he's done very good at some very tough courses that is not GNCC related. But nonetheless, look at this. Liam Draper starting to try to make some moves. He was able to get to the rear wheels of Craig DeLong there, but now DeLong and the crew able to pull back up just a little bit. It looked like Draper having just a bit of trouble, possibly hitting a rock there, getting a little jumped out. But look at this, another battle. Craig DeLong now putting the gas on.
Yeah, Craig's hit the go button and almost came together with Ben Kelly. They're side by side. It's a drag race up the hill. And, wow, surprised, DeLong was hard on the brakes right there. Somehow Kelly able to slam the door from the outside, cutting back underneath. Look at this, switch back again. And now they're going to funnel into the same line. I thought we'd see DeLong try to cut back underneath again. But how about it? Some strong defense there from Ben Kelly, not wanting to hand that number 2 spot over to Craig DeLong.
And again, that brings Liam Draper back into the fight. And guys, speaking of the fight, looking at our running order on the left side of the screen, there is a name missing. We heard that Grant Davis had gone down. He is not even in the top 20 in the running order. Unless, am I missing his name there? Because I don't see him, which to me, again, speaking of Stu Baylor, already having 2 issues in 2026, effectively, if he doesn't score top 20 points today, it all but eliminates him from championship hopes. Same would be said for Grant Davis, a rider that was very much at the top of that discussion. Had 2 bike issues early in 2026, did not finish 2 of the first 4 races, but grabbing that win at round number 4 bumped him back up inside the top 10, and he was at that point only 29 points behind Ben Kelly. Still a big gap to make up. But giving up another 30 points here today, that's curtains. I mean, that's 3 no scores in a GNCC season of 13. It's not impossible, but you're now relying on other riders having to have DNFs and non-scores to get yourself back into the fight. Today could be a disastrous day for Grant Davis and that Red Bull KTM team if there's been an issue that has eliminated him from finishing this race today. And that would be a huge storyline that we'll hope does not unfold. But right now, we're going to try to get an update. We heard he had a crash, then perhaps it was a bike issue, so we'll get you guys an update at home, but not inside the top 20 overall. Wow, that's a story.
And just to confirm what you're saying here, Johnny, ironically enough, Grant Davis sitting 6th in points, just right behind him in 7th is Stu Baylor. And ironically enough, Baylor with a 4th place there at round number 1. Oh, we're starting to get some more battles here, Johnny.
Man, Craig DeLong just keeps throwing everything he has at Ben Kelly, but Ben Kelly matching him move for move. The only thing I will say is with these 2 battling, it's allowed Liam Draper to really get even that much closer, and you have to imagine that if Jordan Ashburn is hitting his marks and pushing the pace, it's going to allow him to open that gap up. It was 13 seconds. We saw down to look like maybe around 5 or 6 in one of our camera shots not long ago, so we'll see what that gap is the next time we're able to get eyes on Jordan Ashburn.
Funny enough, Johnny, as I was saying just a second ago, Grant Davis and Stu Baylor, every race that Baylor has finished, Grant Davis has not, and vice versa.
Yeah, so they traded DNFs through the first 4 rounds, each of them having a win, each of them having 2 DNFs, and that is not a strong way to start the 2026 or any season. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see. We'll hope that Stu Baylor able to get that machine going. Grant Davis, whatever issue he's having, we don't want to report incorrectly. We were originally told might have been a crash, then we were told potentially a bike issue. So we'll get, I believe our man Zach Herron headed over there to see if we can get an update from that factory KTM team as to what is transpiring with Grant Davis, as this could loom large in the 2026 championship picture. But again, mitigating risk, managing championships, Ben Kelly, top of that list right now. He doesn't seem to have the flash and flare that he did in 2022, coming out winning the first 6 races. But nonetheless, as you look, 84 points. He has a 13-point lead over Liam Draper coming into today, and as they run, he would extend that points lead over Liam Draper. Jordan Ashburn sitting in the number 3 spot with 66 points. He would make up 5. but Ben Kelly would still maintain a larger points lead as they run, him being in the number 2 spot. He would only give up 5 points to Jordan Ashburn, who's currently leading the race here. So the points, always something we're keeping an eye on, because these guys are racing for wins today, but their main goal is that 2026 championship. And Ben Kelly doing a great job so far here in 2026 of managing his, we'll call them bad races, where he seems to still find himself on the podium at the end of the day. He says he just fights through it. He wasn't comfortable 3 weeks ago, said that in his post-race interview. The dust, the track, he said, I wasn't comfortable, I didn't feel good, I just kept pushing and found myself on the podium, and that's a pretty good day for not having a good race.
Sounds like
Well, there you go. So that is a huge storyline developing. And look at this. Liam Draper shoots up the inside of Craig DeLong. So sitting back there watching that dogfight between Ben Kelly and Craig DeLong, Liam Draper saw an opportunity and pounced immediately, and looking racy, looking like first opportunity he gets, he is going to try and shove that Ampro Yamaha through to make the pass on Ben Kelly for what would be the number 2 spot. And here it comes right up the inside. You could see him square it up there and just absolutely putting the power to the ground, making the pass on Ben Kelly. Liam Draper from 4th to 2nd in just about 2 turns there, Jackson.
How about that, Johnny? It's clear that Draper, he was finished with sitting back there. He was ready to pull the trigger and set and sell now, as he's put a couple bike links between himself and Ben Kelly.
And while we're talking about championship points, that right there was a 4-point pass. Actually, technically would be a 8-point swing in the points. So Liam would go from losing another 4 points to Ben Kelly if they finished as they ran, to now gaining 4 points on Ben Kelly, as that pushes Kelly back to 3rd. Draper sitting in that number 2 spot, just 13 points behind. So 8 points is a big difference when you're talking about a gap of 13. Craig DeLong taking an outside line there, trying to make that pass on Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly stingy, still holding on to that number 3 spot, and Draper starting to open up a bit of a gap there.
So as Liam Draper starts to make his way up to the front, we were able to catch up with him as well about the 4 race winners in 4 rounds.
It's eluding that first win, so hopefully it comes sooner rather than later. But yeah, just a good, smooth race, and everything pans out, and put my charge in towards the end, and hopefully I'm first across the line. But yeah, the class is stacked. There's probably 10 of us that can all win a race, really, and it's just who's having a good day and who can piece it together.
Well, there we hear it from Liam Draper, and I think he's very right about that. Who can piece it all together? And right now, we're looking at our 1st and 2nd place still yet to pick up a win here this year. We very well could make it 5 winners in 5 races here, Johnny.
Well, and for Liam Draper, that would be a big day if he's able to track down Jordan Ashburn and get in the mix, the battle for this win. He has battled for so many wins since coming into this class 2 years ago, actually, for the last 4 races of the year. Look at that, Draper carrying the front end all the way down that straightaway. So any questions about how that trials tire may be hooking up, getting answered here. And just ahead of him, that is Jordan Ashburn. So not only has he made the pass on Kelly and opened up a gap, he has really closed down that gap to Jordan Ashburn, who is leading this one. That, if he's able to get in the mix and make that happen today, would be his first career XC1 and overall win. What a day that would be for him.
Sure would be. Taking a look now at your leader of Ashburn, and take a look at that. He is not far now. Liam Draper definitely starting to make up just a bit of ground. We'll see if Ashburn can retaliate. Moving back up to Ashburn now, and seeing, Johnny, that gap slowly but surely is starting to close as each corner.
Yeah, he's definitely getting held up a little bit by that lapped rider, but now the next bike on track in front of him is the number 3 Phoenix Racing Honda of Jordan Ashburn, your race leader. Neither of these guys having a win yet here in 2026. Liam Draper not yet having one in his career, so this could be a big day for either of these guys. And as they run right now, here we see Grant Davis is in, and this is much further back on track, so this is a problem. This is why we are seeing Grant Davis out of the top 20. Looks like his mechanic Andy Gray there, and looks like also Sean Mundy there. Putting the machine up on the stand, we see Eric Surratt, the team truck driver, trying to help and assist there. They had an air hose out. It looked like they were possibly trying to cool that machine down. So that would be the clutch side of the machine. They threw a bucket, or actually not the clutch side, it's the other side, looking like they're preparing to work on something on the motor. They were trying to cool the engine down so that they're able to work on it. That's why they hit it with that big bucket of water. But not being the clutch side, my guess, and this is just a guess, maybe that machine having some electrical issues and they're planning on changing out the stator, because that would be the stator side of the engine. Our man Zach Heron, don't know if he was able to get an update on what the thoughts of KTM were, but it looks like they're definitely working on the left side of that machine. The way they were cooling it down, they were planning on working something on or near the engine.
Yeah, they were. There was a lot of thoughts happening in a short amount of time. I'll put it like that. Everybody had their assignment. Nobody was interested in talking, understandably so. But as you can see, fiercely working on the machine. I did see Grant come by me in the pits. I mean, that thing sounded great as it was wide open. But clearly, they feel like something needs to be adjusted, something needs to be worked on, and they know the clock is ticking with every second here in the pits.
Yeah, not the stator cover. It didn't look like, unless they were having to pull the starter to get the stator cover off, which I don't believe it makes sense. I've not personally worked on one of the newer KTMs, but they are working on something on the upper end on the back side of the motor, and they were trying to cool it down so they could get in there and work on it. So we'll keep an eye on that. We do have a camera over there. We'll wait and watch here for our leaders, and there he is on screen, Jordan Ashburn, number 3, Phoenix Racing Honda. Liam Draper into the number 2 spot behind him and charging hard. Look at that, Draper already into the camera shot. He has made up some serious ground, folks.
Draper is on the charge. Did want to give a quick update to the 99 of Cody Barnes. We saw earlier, heard it might have been some bike issues, might have gone down. Do want to confirm he went down. It sounds like in a hard way as well. Cody Barnes out of this one.
That is unfortunate for Cody Barnes and that Liqua Mali factory beta team. There is your third place rider of Craig DeLong and Ben Kelly. We did see DeLong, right?
Yep.
So DeLong did make the pass on Ben Kelly there. And here comes now Mike Witkowski sitting in the number 5 spot as they run. 6th place overall because Jack Walker charging hard from that XC2 class. Again, another shout out to Chase Landers there in the number 9 spot overall. Some other riders jumping up through the pack there as well. Jigs Festini there from that, I believe that's the 4-stroke A lights class. Hunter Smith out of that open A class. And then Braden Baisley, Caleb Wood out of the 250A and 4-stroke A lights class. So a lot of grayed out numbers there. We've got 5 A riders, overall amateurs, inside the top 20 overall right now. These guys are pushing pretty hard.
And this has been more and more of a consistent theme. We used to say that about the XC2 class as they were inside the top 10 overall. Now we're saying it about those A riders as well, as that was Jack Walker on screen.
Yeah. Right on the rear wheel of Grant Baylor, who was right on the rear wheel of Josh Strang. So those 3 are hooked up and pushing the pace.
I'm assuming Caleb Russell now going to be ahead of that pack that we just saw there.
Yeah, and Caleb, another rider definitely on the move, was actually 19th overall after one lap, jumping up 9 spots on lap number 2 in his return to GNCC Racing. Spoke about it a little bit on his social media. We covered it a little bit on the show, but a knee injury during that race in Florida where he's battling just outside of a podium position towards the tail end of the race, electing to sit out the last 2 rounds to try to work on that. Been riding the last couple weeks, coming out now back up into the top 10 and looking like he's on a charge. We'll keep an eye on that. But man, what we are seeing battles all over this top 10, top 20. A lot of action going on out here on this race course right now.
We saw the KTM machine of Jason Tino making his way by, going to be 2nd in that XC2 class, sitting 7th on the overall charts, and now back up to your leader, the number 3 machine of Ashburn.
And another rider missing from the top 20 overall, we did see Gus Reardon in there making that rear wheel change, not able to get himself back into the top 20 overall yet. We'll take a look and see where he runs in class. He would be another one of the riders looking to get himself into that battle for that overall championship. And he was back in the 6th place spot, 1 minute and 19 seconds behind Toby Cleveland in 5th. Gavin Simon was 1 minute behind Jason Tino, and then 4 seconds back to Brody Johnson in the mix there. So he is well over 2 minutes off the lead after 2 laps of racing. So Reardon going to need to make some serious time to get back in the battle, even for a podium at this point.
He was definitely one of our title favorites for that XC2 class coming into the year. Definitely not the start to it that he was looking for, but nonetheless, still plenty of racing left to go here in this 2026 season.
The dust looking thick here once again, and there is the 557 of Caleb Russell with that trademark missing handguard. Seems to never be able to get through these races with both handguards intact. Back to the battle for the lead, starting to shape up. Jordan Ashburn, but Liam Draper chipping away at it, getting ever so much closer
what was 13 seconds down to 5 or 6 seconds, and now looks like it's about 2 or 3 seconds, and Draper is almost there to the rear wheel, and you've got to believe that Jordan Ashburn knows he's coming.
And you can see that Draper is bringing the fight with him. That body language that he's putting out right now looks like he is confident and ready to make that move.
But I was going to say, you can see in a couple of these spots, Draper, he's pushing the envelope. He's going deep into some of these berms, really laying into it, taking some chances to get around lappers. He's clearly got a sense of urgency to close this gap up and feels like now is the time to strike, as Jordan Ashburn kind of just still tiptoeing his way around these lines. I say tiptoeing not in a slow way, but in just a meticulous way. Very careful, keeping his balance. We're seeing everybody else get kicked left, kicked to the right. Jordan, it just seems like he's able to predict what every rock is going to do to that Phoenix Racing Honda underneath him.
Draper, on the other hand, skipping his way through. And
he doesn't care what it's going to do. He's going to just keep throttle pit.
This is what we saw yesterday, kind of with Bryce O'Neill just kind of picking his way through, and Wyatt Wilkins just absolutely sending it. Right now, we've got Draper in that Wilkins seat. He is just full send, hanging it all out, and in being rewarded right now, he is continuing to close the gap on your leader, Jordan Ashburn.
Ashburn's in as much trouble as the long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs, as the Duke boys would say.
Only took an hour and 15 minutes and we got our first one.
For those at home listening, Jackson did download a list of the Duke boys quotes, and they will be used throughout the show. Great homework there, Jackson. And pretty soon we might have, what is it, a situation?
Yeah, we've got ourselves a situation. One person that definitely does is Jordan Ashburn. He's got himself a situation right now as Draper is starting to close up on him. And I know Ashburn not going to want to give up that lead easy, but nonetheless, like, this is one of these situations where we talk about it. If Draper does have the speed, I'm sure Ashburn gonna let him by and try to hook on, try to find those fast lines and make that move back before the end of this one.
Yeah, it's looking at the way this is starting to shape up. I got to tell you, over the years, anyone that pays close attention to the post-race interviews or talks to the riders themselves, XC1 guys, XC2 guys, let me tell you, Jordan Ashburn, possibly the hardest rider to pass in GNCC, and that just is a testament to how much of a fighter he is. He definitely can kind of sense where the riders are at behind him, and he'll kind of, I don't want to say block those lines, but close down those passing opportunities while still maintaining a great pace and moving forward, and that's shown by the fact that he's leading here, and everything that everyone's tried to throw at him, whether it was Stu Baylor early on, we did see, a charge from Ben Kelly getting close. And then now we're seeing Liam Draper, after he was able to make the move around both Craig DeLong and Ben Kelly. He is the next rider in line to try to challenge Jordan Ashburn for that first place spot.
A term that's used a lot is riding a wide bike, and that is definitely what Jordan Ashburn does. Not overly aggressive by any means, but Johnny, you're very right. It is hard to get by him. We'll see if Draper can do it, as now he is just a couple bike lengths from it.
Well, and on top of that, I think Ashburn, one of those riders, if you do get around him, his ability to switch from offense to defense almost instantaneously is really impressive. We see some riders needing to take a quarter to half mile at least to kind of reset, try to refigure out what they need to do. Ashburn almost immediately to say, okay, fine, you want to take the lead, watch this, and then starts reapplying the pressure. So it really is one of those things where just making the pass is only half the battle when it comes to Jordan Ashburn.
Well, as we close in here in the final turns, working our way towards 3 laps complete, we will wait and we will watch and we will listen to the radio chatter and find out how many laps we're looking at doing here today. Looking like it's going to be about an hour and 17 and change to do 3 laps of racing. So I think we're going to have at least a 7-lap race, possibly, I don't even want to say 8, but we'll see. We'll let race control make that decision. Ashburn held up a little bit by a lapped rider there, and now Draper is right to the rear wheel. And this is a battle for the lead we're watching on screen.
So how about it? Another lap in the books, and it's still the Phoenix Racing Honda of Jordan Ashburn out front. But for how long? The Ampro Yamaha right on the rear wheel, less than a bike length away, as Liam Draper has decided it is go time. That stake, it probably doesn't feel good, but that's okay. Liam didn't even notice it. But I like what he's doing. This is similar to what we saw of Bryce O'Neill yesterday as well. Going out and cutting underneath. He's doing a great job of not following Ashburn at all, especially in moments like that where lap riders are involved. You got to think how comfortable Liam is as well. Gets a little off kilter right there.
Big kick there.
He's going to be able to look left, look right if we see Jordan Ashburn get caught up with any of these lap riders.
Yeah, Ashburn stingy, not wanting to give up that lead position. He doesn't want to be back there eating the dust. He wants to keep Draper behind him.
Back up the hillside they go, as Ashburn going to no question whether he knows he's there or not now. At this point, there's no way you don't. As Jordan Ashburn, taking a look at this. But again, it doesn't seem like Ashburn's trying to change his lines around at all. He's just unfazed at the moment, even though he's under a freight train's worth of pressure. I mean, this is really impressive stuff, and we're talking about the mentality and the mental strength that somebody like Jordan Ashburn has. This is a perfect example of it.
Well, we're closing in on pit stops here, so that is really going to shape not only these lead positions, but pit strategy, because we still don't know how many laps we're looking at here, and the riders don't either. Draper trying to make the pass, but this could all be shaken up here in just a short... we are told, now confirmed 7-lap race. So this will be not quite the midpoint with 3 laps complete. We'll have 4 laps remaining. They are now into lap number 4. Look at that. Ashburn goes wide, getting into the loose stuff. Draper gets a good run, closes the gap down, but still not close enough to put himself in position to try to make the pass. Inside line there from Draper, trying to square Ashburn up, and Ashburn holds on to it.
A little look over there from Ashburn to one of those lap riders, and starting to see more and more of that as opportunities becoming slim to get around this lap traffic. Meanwhile, seems like Draper able to flirt with some other lines. Some of them work, some of them don't, but that's the beauty of the position that the Ampro Yamaha's in right now. He's able to try some things out. If they don't work, seems like he's able to reel that gap back in, but it seems like every now and again he's able to find some really sneaky lines, straightening out a couple of switchbacks, just picking up a 10th here and a 10th there, and it is no doubt got to feel like maybe just a little more pace for the Yamaha, but that wide bike, we go back to a Jordan Ashburn. You can have as much speed if you want. If you're still not out front, it's not going to do you any good. Ashburn in control of this.
We see this battle for the lead continues to rage on. We see the update on the top 10 overall there. Riders getting shaken up. Still Jack Walker leading the way in that XC2 class. Jason Tino in the number 2 spot. And Caleb Russell now up into the 8th spot ahead of Josh Strang and Grant Baylor rounding out the top 10. Looking down through the lap times, interesting to point out, Caleb Russell, the fastest rider on track by about 12 seconds on lap number 3. So this battle for the lead up front, we've seen these guys kind of mixing it up, but some of the riders further back maybe benefiting from that clear track, a little less dust back there, and putting in a charge. Look at this, Draper up the inside, not able to make the pass, but he's relentless. He just keeps throwing everything he has at it. For those of you at home, after our pit stops here, we are going to have our WXC winner from today, Brandy Richards, joining us to give us her perspective on this very unique racetrack, which obviously she seemed to gel pretty well with. But this is it now. The final couple corners coming through here. Draper charging so hard, even knowing they're going to reset here in the pits in just a moment. He's not giving Jordan Ashburn any room to work with and not giving him a break. Now Ashburn able to stretch out just a couple bike lengths in that section there.
I mean, talk about a yo-yo. This is a definition. It stretches out, it closes in to less than a bike length. It stretches out and closes right back in, and that's what we love. Is it seems like you can't quite pick a certain spot that I feel like either one of these riders are stronger. It's just whether they get kicked off to the side, whether they catch a lap rider at that moment. When they're able to ride at the top level for both of them, they're almost evenly matched, but it's who's able to control those uncontrollable variables, quite frankly. Lady Luck going to play a hand in this as well.
Well, and our job as commentators here is to add a little bit of drama and kind of give some perspective on things as they're now working their way down towards the pro pits. A couple more corners here, and they will be finding out who's fueling. I'm thinking we're going to see them both on the same strategy stop-wise, but we'll find out here in just a moment. But again, they are running very different tires, so that may speak a little bit to why we're seeing Jordan stronger in kind of the loamier, rockier stuff, and Liam in the hard pack stuff, able to really just grab more grip, like this flat stuff you're looking at here, and draw closer to the rear end of Ashburn. So we'll watch for Jordan Ashburn to see if he pulls into those Phoenix Racing Honda pits. Looks like Draper definitely coming into those Ampro Yamaha pits, and the team is waiting. Ashburn in as well. So, okay. For a minute, it looked like he accelerated by there, but they are both in. They're looking across at each other. Liam Draper is fueled and out, and Jordan Ashburn is out and right back the way it came, but Draper goes around inside the Jordan Ashburn there and makes the pass. But you pointed out, Ashburn's so quick to reset, looking like he's already trying to make that move to take that lead position back.
Oh, man, you talk about a drag race. They were going for it, headed out of pit lane, but and you got to think, I mean, that's something that neither one of them have any control over. Almost a little bit of a benefit for Draper where his pit was, able to get around that corner and fully accelerate down the straightaway. Meanwhile, Jordan had to go from a dead stop just straight forward, not quite enough to keep the Ampro Yamaha at bay. Now we get to find out what the pace for Liam Draper truly is. How much is he able to push, and will it be enough to stretch things out over the Phoenix Honda? Meanwhile, problems in the KTM tent as we've got people on the ground. Look like maybe a suspension adjustment there for Ben Kelly.
Yeah, it looked like he was laying down onto the front forks, most likely a rebound adjustment. That is the knob that is down at the bottom of those fork lugs there. And Draper charging, but look at this. Jordan Ashburn, you pointed it out, able to switch from defense to offense so quickly, and he is keeping the pressure on Draper, not wanting to let him get away, as Draper obviously has a very impressive pace here at the moment.
And I'll be curious to see in the coming miles how things affect as far as Liam Draper versus Ashburn, because Ashburn, he's a nice guy off the bike, but I think when you're in front of him, it is pretty impressive to see what he's capable of doing as far as making passes happen. We'll see if Draper's got that same level of intensity as Josh Strang in the pits.
Did you see the rear tire on Josh Strang? Wow. More than half the knob's gone, and we're only an hour and 24 minutes into this one. We're not quite halfway, so that is a big shakeup there for... I do know, again, we spoke about the tire choices, so definitely that thing is showing some serious signs of wear with over an hour and a half of racing left still on the clock. That is definitely something that they're going to have to keep an eye on and see how that progresses here throughout. But Draper now starting to open up that gap over the number 3 of Ashburn. It looks like still back there in the number 3 spot. And then Ben Kelly in the number 4 spot, 17 seconds behind DeLong. So 13 seconds back is Craig DeLong in that number 3 spot. And you can see the battle for the lead on screen. It's showing you exactly what the gaps are there, and it is still close, but look at this. Draper starting to open it up more and more with each passing corner over Jordan Ashburn in the number 2 spot.
Well, we've been talking about speculating all day long, Johnny. We thought we'd bring in a true expert to give us their perspective. We want to welcome Brandy Richards into the Racer TV tent. Brandy, our WXC winner from earlier today, you said this felt arguably a little bit like home over on the West Coast. Take us through your thoughts of the Dukes GNCC.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like the closest thing you can get to a West Coast over here. Just being more open and not as many trees. The trees are actually just different. They're kind of like giant bushes out here. They'll just reach up and grab you. But it's definitely like super different than what we're used to, but so similar to the West Coast.
Brandy, we had the opportunity to follow some of your racing action live from the drone today. Zach was actually doing some announcing there. It sounds like it was definitely a challenging racetrack as we see how kind of things unfolded for you here today. Looks like a relatively decent start. We know at lap number 1 you were back in that number 4 spot, so definitely not an easy day for you. You had to work for it. Tell us a little bit about how you made it all happen.
Yeah, so I was actually second off the start behind Taylor, and man, Corey was ready to go. So I wasn't that ready to go in these rocks, and it was a little slippery the first lap. So she actually got by me here at the beginning, and then I was just kind of trailing behind them. It was kind of one line of the first lap, especially where the minis went. It was like slippery on the hard pack stuff, and I was just trying to be patient. I know you can make one mistake here and be out of the race, and so I was pretty smooth the first lap, and I fell back to 4th, but stayed right there. And then once those girls got past Taylor, I knew, like, I gotta go. And then just kind of caught them and was patient. And I know Danielle made a mistake. I got by her, and then it was really tricky with lappers today. We had one bike-only section, and it was the second lap we came up on it, and there was just people just lined up. And Corey looked back at me, and I was just like, I don't know where to go. So we ended up finding a good way through, and a little later on in that lap, there was another bottleneck, and I just had a good line through it. I could get through it and got a little gap, and then after that, just tried to keep a gap. It was definitely a technical track and hard to keep that gap with the lappers, but it was a good race.
Well, and I believe we actually, well, Zach, you could speak to this more. I believe we actually did get a drone shot, or was it in person? We saw Brandy on the ground, so not a day that was, and it didn't sound like it was a small crash, so even getting the win today, there was definitely some challenges, and it wasn't without some difficulty for sure.
Yeah, that's actually funny that you guys got that. It was the only time I wrecked out there. But I just watched.
You gotta love the drone, but you gotta hate the drone.
Yeah.
We got one of Corey like 5 minutes later.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I just lost the front end and just got up as quick as I could, which was so easy to do out there, especially as we got going. Like the track got more marbly. It wasn't as one line, but it was marbly and pushy and easy to make a mistake.
Well, if you could, give us a little perspective. We saw in that little clip of your race there, it looked like early on puddles. Obviously, we know we had that rain overnight. What we're seeing, well, of course, the one section of track where there is water now still. But really, it seems like it's dried out very quickly. How did the racing surface change throughout the 2 hours that you were out there? And were there kind of line adjustments or riding style adjustments you had to make to kind of continue to evolve with the course?
Yeah, it actually changed drastically. When we started, especially where the minis didn't go, it was still hard packed from the quads. So it had that little bit of water on top, and it was so slippery the first lap. And then literally after that, it was pretty grippy. And then after that, it kind of changed from being hard packed to like just getting turned up in a lot looser dirt. And it was... The lines were hard. It was hard to pass because you had that good berm on the outside, and everything on the inside was super marbly. So by the end of it, it was kind of getting better to where you can take the insides because the berms were getting blown out, but it was tricky for sure.
Well, and one of the things you even talked about up on the podium, compared, a lot of people have compared it to something like a Tennessee, even the rockiness of a snowshoe, but you said with the drier rocks, not quite as slick. Rocks still going to be slick, but you were able to kind of anticipate that a little bit more. Things started to dry out, and you said like you were able to adjust a little bit more and use those rocks kind of your advantage. Do you feel like that was due to just being a skilled rock rider, or maybe the West Coast experience? And what advice for even people at home, how do you adapt to those extra rocky conditions?
I would say just being used to the West Coast rocks more. They're a little bit drier. Like the West Coast, you look for rocks for traction, and here I've learned that it's most of the time opposite. So it's definitely being here. The drier rocks, they're not like mossy and stuff, so they're pretty tacky and traction. So once I learned after the first lap that you can kind of hit those, kind of aim for them, and get the lappers are trying to avoid them still. So it's like you can hit the rocks and try to get through them and try to get past the lappers that way, which I actually ran. I know some of the guys are running it. I ran the 91 gummy. Yep. So that was I thought it was a great choice.
Well, and to your point, I was just going to bring that up. Obviously, you have the most experience of anyone in the booth, both riding dirt bikes and specifically on today's track. We've been kind of building up that whole tire choice thing. We saw some riders on the trials tire. We saw a few riders on the EN91, which is the 6 days tire that you're very familiar with from having competed in that event many times. You know, we've seen kind of the lines develop differently for Liam Draper, your leader now on that trials tire, and then second place rider Jordan Ashburn on the EN91. Now, I don't know if it's just the regular 91 or a gummy. You'd have to actually feel that to know for sure. I know for the 3 hour races, they tend to be a little more gun shy, that gummy, because that extra hour, that tire wears out more quickly. But, you know, what are your thoughts on the way the track is developing now, knowing, do you personally have any experience riding with the trials tire?
I've never ridden with a trials tire.
So, you know, do you think there's definitely a difference, or how these guys are attacking the track differently with that rear tire? Do you see that kind of coming into play as the track continues to develop?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine the trials tire wouldn't be good in like the softer, loamier stuff, and that's kind of how it's breaking down to be. So I feel like that would be tough. Like this fire road here, it would be good on the trials tire because it's so hard packed, and that's something that's not breaking down. But like the newer trail stuff is just getting more powdery and stuff, so I feel like that would be difficult. And I'm not sure what Jordan's on, but the gummy would be...
He's on the 91. We don't know if it's a regular 91 or a gummy. We'd have to check. And even if they would give us that information. Yeah. But I did visibly inspect it before the race, and he is on the 91.
Yeah, that one would be good in the looser stuff. Even the Rockset tire is good. Even if it's not the gummy, it's still good, more all around. So I think for him, he's probably better in the looser stuff, and he can kind of cut through it a little bit better. But I know my tire, by the end of our race, was still pretty good, but you look over at Corey's tire, and she had the same exact tire on it. She had no middle knobs left.
Well, and to your point there, riding style comes into play. You know, when you take certain riders and put them on a certain tire, and they say, oh, this is junk, it doesn't work at all, and another rider goes out and wins on it. We saw that last year with Grant Davis. You know, we talked last year, 2025 was the year of the scoop, and Grant Davis was the first rider that really started, one of the first riders that really started pushing that, and other riders saying that tire's garbage, can't win on it, and then Grant Davis goes out and wins. Those same riders then try that tire and say, no, it doesn't work for me. So how you apply the throttle, the line choice, and we've seen that developing already early on, and you can see it right there, whereas, well, Jordan takes that inside line there because of the left rider, but we've seen Jordan kind of flowing those berms, getting into that loam might be a stretch, but looser soil with the rocks in it, and kind of finding traction there. Liam is really creeping the inside, staying on hard pack, knowing that his machine, the way it's handling right now with that rear tire, kind of favors that heart attack terrain. So definitely a astute observation from you. We appreciate the insight.
Yeah.
We sit here and try to theorize, but it's good to get the first-hand knowledge from somebody who's already out there and doing battle on the same track just a few hours ago.
For sure. And yeah, and actually the second half of this track, there's a lot of those corners where it's super rocky on the insides. So if you could just skate the insides, you could straight line everything. So I think for Liam, that would probably be a better section for him.
Now, as far as lap traffic goes, obviously you got a couple of GNCC seasons under your belt. First time here at the Dukes. Better, worse? It's always a factor for you girls, especially in that AM bike class. But what was it like today, and how do you think that it's going to affect this afternoon race?
It was definitely a challenge today, especially in the bike-only section, because it's kind of like these bushes. Like, you can't get out of it, you can't get around it, and it's kind of one line. So we had a couple bottlenecks, and just some of the harder hills they kind of stacked up on. It's just kind of what timing you have getting to them. So I think as the slower riders kind of get a little bit more tired, they might be falling in some sections and a little slower to get up. So that might, play an issue here. I don't know if they'll really have bottlenecks. I think there's some pretty decent riders out here in this race, but I think it'll definitely come to play.
Well, from some additional perspective here, obviously we see this camera shot, we see a lot of elevation. As we're watching this race from the drone, everything looks right. And it's awesome to see, especially yesterday, to be able to see all those passes. We've seen it so much today. We caught the many passes already from the drone. But tell us a little bit about, I know especially if you guys go down to that bike-only section, kind of deceiving up here on top, but when you get down in there, a lot of elevation and quickly changing elevation as you get through this track, is there not?
Oh yeah, a lot of quick hills, steep hills. That first bike-only section, like the one that we did, there's one downhill that is so steep and it just comes out of nowhere. It's like you just locked on the brakes, sliding down the whole thing. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of elevation changes. They threw in a lot of just off cambers, which are pretty tricky. But yeah, there's some good hills, some good hill climbs. It's a great course.
Well, it's great to have that perspective because a lot of times, like Zach and I were talking yesterday, it was hard to see. I believe it was Wyatt Wilkin was checking up mid straightaway yesterday, and Zach thought there was a problem. But what you can't see from the drone is that wall of dust was so thick. It looked clear in front of him because we could see over the wall of dust. But look at this. Now the battle has tightened back up for the lead. Jordan Ashburn, perhaps because of the different parts of the track, his machine, maybe that tire selection working better, maybe it was lap riders, but there it is again.
Yep.
There it is, Draper tucking the inside. This is a perfect example. Yep. Ashburn just running that loam on the outside, loose terrain, and Draper tucking those inside, both going very fast, but doing it in very different ways with different line selection. We're seeing it develop right here on screen as if we scripted it. But to be able to see how different the elevation is when you're actually out there and how many cliff edges, or maybe cliff is a strong word, but very steep hillsides that you're on. Sometimes it seems like these guys are just creeping along. You can see their leg down and what's wrong? You can't, the camera doesn't do justice to the off cambers and the hills.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of elevation and a lot of technical training here for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like fast straightaways and then a quick corner. So it's tricky. You got to really remember where you're going.
Well, Brandy, thank you so much for jumping in the booth with us and actually giving us some expert analysis here. We've been just speculating all day long, so great to have somebody that's been there and done that.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
That's Brandy Richards, your WXC winner here from earlier today in the Racer TV truck. This has been a wild Dukes GNCC. Been all kinds of chaos, riders going back and forth, battling. We've had some mechanical issues, some crashes. We've had a little bit of the full menu here at the Dukes, but as Jackson Burrell's been quoting all weekend long, we've got ourselves a situation and we've got ourselves a race. Jordan Ashburn and Liam Draper trying to make it a table for two at the front of the XC1 field, but the rest of the crew, Ben Kelly, Craig DeLong, don't forget, Caleb Russell's still the fastest man on track. We'll see whether or not he can track down for a potential podium finish. And then Jack Walker out of the XC2 Fast, still running inside that top 5 overall. We'll see what he's capable of doing in the closing stages of this race. Plenty more racing to come, and it's all going to be live right here on Racer TV when we come back.
Today with the all-new Gen 4 Specialized Levo. They also have great deals on Gen 3 Levos and used bikes. Stop by their booth and see for yourself how fun it can be riding around these GNCC hills. Gear Bicycles is sponsored by Progressive. When you stop by their booth, you can find out why it's important to insure your e-bike, dirt bike, ATV, or RV. Once again, thanks for being here today, and enjoy your day.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the mud, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. Years of defending your rights to ride into the future.
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to beautiful Knott County, Kentucky for the Rocky Mountain Dukes GNCC. Get a nice little overhead shot there of the beautiful scenery, and like we talked about, a little flat right where we're at, but we're almost on top of the mountainside, and just like Johnny and Brandy were talking about a few minutes ago, some steep hillsides here on this Dukes course, and some steep competition as well as Liam Draper and Jordan Ashburn continue to duke it out at the front of the XC1 field.
Yeah, this is definitely a good place for the Rocky Mountain ATV MC to be at, no doubt. There's plenty of Rocky Mountains around here. This was actually an old strip mine, and I'm sure that's what helps us get all these flat places that we have to park our campers on and whatnot, but nonetheless, Zach, this is definitely one of the hilliest places GNCC's been in a long time.
No doubt about it. You take a look on the left side of your screen. It is Draper, Ashburn, DeLong, Kelly, your top four, and then Jack Walker, your XC2 leader, sitting in that fifth spot OA. And, man, Jack Walker, what can you say about him at this point? Really impressive performances and continuing that trend here today.
Yeah, and Witkowski sitting back there in sixth overall, fifth in that XC1 class. Then Jason Tino in the number 2 spot there in that XC2 class, and 7th overall. Caleb Russell, 8th overall. Josh Strang, 9th, and Grant Baylor, 10th. Chase Landers slipping back a little bit. We saw him in 7th and 9th and 11th, but still top amateur and leading the way in that 258 class with Hunter Smith, 2nd overall amateur out of that Open A class, and then Cooper Jones now up to the number 2 spot in 258 and 3rd overall amateur, and then a whole bunch of overall amateurs, including Deloso, Whitmer, and Jenkins, rounding out the top 20 overall. We do see, I'm sorry, don't mean to cut you off, we do see Angus Road back into the top 20 overall, up into that 14th place spot, and looks like he would be, what would that be, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, up from that 6th spot, making some moves in that XC2 class.
Yeah, sure is. I was just going to mention there Chase Landers. No surprise to see him fall back, Johnny. That's exactly what we would expect out of one of our A-class riders. Still an amazing ride. That doesn't take anything from him. He's down a couple spots. This is how it works in GNCC. He made a move. He was with the Phoenix team. Now, I guess going back to privateer. I'm not exactly sure, but nonetheless, he's had a shake-up of things, and he's doing good right now. So 254 machine on the move. And I know you just mentioned Reardon. Johnny, he came through the pits absolutely flying, so it's not possible. It's not impossible for Reardon to pick up quite a few more spots.
Well, you know, he's fired up, I'm sure. Don't know what the story was. We do know we saw on camera that he did a rear wheel change there. As we see, there is Ashburn. Okay, and there is Draper. So Draper able to open it up a little bit again now with 4 laps complete. We'll check the lap times. Was a 26:10 that lap for Liam Draper, so about the same lap time as last time, and then a 28:6:18 for Jordan Ashburn. So they're pretty consistently in those low 26s right now, and Ashburn still continuing to fight to try to keep close to the rear wheel of Liam Draper. Again, this was a section of racetrack we're coming into now where Draper really seemed to get aggressive 1 lap ago and was able to make the move on Jordan Ashburn. This seems to be the part of the track where Draper is a little bit better. This is the harder pack. We talked about that with Brandy Richards, our WXC winner, just a few moments ago. Kind of more hard pack, definitely kind of searching for grip, and Draper finding it quite well with that trials tire.
Yeah, he sure has been. Draper having himself a day right now. A little bit of head shake there from Ashburn. And just look how rocky this facility is as they make their way up. These cameras, they never do. They never show justice for any of these facilities. But this one, even a little bit more, I think, than some of the other facilities. As you can see, a huge drop-off to their left-hand side right there in that corner, and just all kinds of different elements to this Kentucky course.
Well, and you talk about those small little bobbles, the little head shakes from Jordan Ashburn. Those are so uncharacteristic. One of the biggest things that points out or sticks out to me about Jordan is it seems like he's always balanced. He never really gets thrown off. We know he's got some hard enduro past. He's extremely skilled in those extreme sections, whether it's muddy, whether it's dry, rocky. Seems like when things really get tough, that's when Jordan Ashburn starts to kind of show signs of life. And if you're already seeing him make these kind of little mistakes, weight getting just a little bit off balance, that really goes to show you how unpredictable this course is. And Liam Draper kind of going, as Johnny said, the Wyatt Wilkins style of yesterday, still sending it around. He was cutting underneath on the insides, now flirting with these outsides a little bit more. There you see, cuts down underneath, gets a nice look over the shoulder, knows exactly where Jordan Ashburn is at, and Draper trying to manage this thing from the front now.
Yeah, I really like the way Draper's riding here today. I don't feel like he's overriding the machine. Yep. I think that all the moving around he's doing is definitely what's helping him stay up at the front right now.
Yeah, and it seemed like he was letting the race come to him as well. Had that sense of urgency to try to catch Jordan, but also, yes, was sending it, but not. We've seen Liam send it sometimes where we're like holding onto the TV screen for dear life, but that wasn't anything where he was overly risking it. He was sure if he saw an opportunity, he was taking it, but seems like letting the race come to him, and we see where it's gotten him right now.
Craig DeLong sitting back there still in that number 3 spot now, 23 seconds. Last lap was about 13 seconds, so Craig should be coming here pretty soon. So he's sitting there in that number 3 spot, but I think the interesting thing looking at a lapse time, he has about 21 seconds on Jack Walker, who's 4th place overall. So Walker charging and potentially putting himself in position to continue to battle for an overall podium position. And then behind that, Ben Kelly, 47 seconds back behind Craig DeLong, and right on his rear wheel, 0.08 seconds. I don't even know how you get that close coming across the finish line, is Mike Wachowski. So Wachowski all over Ben Kelly. We should see that coming on screen here in just a few moments.
Man, separated by not much more than a knobby is Ben Kelly and Wachowski. But yeah, that would be a huge accomplishment for Jack Walker and that Liquid Moly Factory beta team to be able to put the machine up on the overall podium. But man, got to give some props to Craig DeLong as well. We really saw him have that solid year. There is Ben Kelly on your screen, which means there is Mike Wachowski right after. Stretched out just a little bit. Now it's almost a bike length, but really impressive ride-in. How about this? You said it. Caleb Russell, the fastest rider on track the last lap around, and the Ampro Yamaha is marching forward. He's got 2 riders just in front of him. We'll see if he can pick off Wachowski and Kelly.
Yeah, so he was 46 seconds behind them 2 laps ago, and now is to the rear wheel of both Kelly and Wachowski in that battle over that 5th place spot. But this lap was not faster than Draper and Ashburn. Those guys, you can see, well, Caleb Russell's lap time not on there, but I believe he's 26:30, so about 20 seconds slower than the leaders. There is Jack Walker, so he's in that virtual battle. He's actually battling with Craig DeLong over that final podium position a little further up the trail because of that time adjustment starting on row number 2.
Yeah, but him and Grant Baylor, on the other hand, as now we get back up to the front here with Liam Draper, they have been battling it out like crazy. When they came through the pit area, I was able to take a look at them, and Walker was able to get around Baylor, and you could tell Baylor, it looked, in my opinion, like he was a little bit distraught by it.
Well, and we've heard some of the XC2 riders talk about this last year and even continued the conversation here into this year as well. Some mixed opinions regarding the way XC1 treats the XC2 as they're making their way through the pack, and it seems like some riders maybe having to be a little bit more aggressive, or some riders being more aggressive to stop the XC2 riders from moving their way through the pack as well. So maybe some frustration for Walker, and clearly maybe a little bit of just upset from Baylor, letting the XC2 kid by.
It just kind of seemed Baylor just kind of shaking his head when he exited at the pit road. Just kind of looked like one of the deals where he was just like, man, this has been a lot to handle here from Jack Walker. Jack definitely applying a ton of pressure as we see our leaders now making their way here through the pro row.
And again, about 23 seconds behind Ashburn, we should see the 342 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna of Craig DeLong. That is the podium positions as they run with Jack Walker in the virtual race there. Time correction coming into play. He is in the mix for podium, and there is DeLong coming around the corner down by our Racer TV. We could lean out the back of the Racer TV studios and give him a thumbs up. DeLong hard on the gas, carrying the front wheel of that Rockstar Racing Husqvarna, taking a look over to see who's coming the other way, to see how much of a gap he has opened up. He's going to have to look about 47 seconds back to see Ben Kelly, so he's not going to see anybody over there just yet.
Well, we know Caleb Russell's on the charge here in this one. Johnny, I know you're good friends with Caleb. Do you have any update on how he's feeling? I don't know if you've mentioned just that in the show.
Have you met the man? He doesn't have much to say. He's after taking several weeks off of not riding, not really doing anything after the knee injury and knee injury. Life is a consistent knee injury for Caleb Russell at this point. But putting the work in these last couple weeks, he's been on the bike every day but 3, which I've never seen him ride that much. But he's got to make some passes here. As Witkowski is still there ahead of him, and Ben Kelly as well. There's Russell just left the screen. Kelly takes a look over again. We see a lot of traction out there. These guys just carrying the front wheel here through the pro pits. Kelly sitting in that number 5 spot overall, 4th in XC1. Again, I don't get to tell these guys how they feel, but this is not a Ben Kelly track, so to see him up inside the top 5 overall is a good solid day for him. And you're never surprised when you see Ben Kelly just kind of turn it up the end. We call him the Diesel. He gets stronger as these races go on, so would not at all be shocked to see him back up and battling potentially for a podium position or better as this race continues to develop with still 3 laps of racing remaining.
So watching Liam Draper on screen continue to pick his way through lap traffic. The Ampro Yamaha trying to snag a win here in the 2026 season. Currently sitting 2nd overall. 2 second places coming into round number 5. Silver only tastes good for so long. He wants a piece of the gold. Pretty nice trophy to go along with it here this weekend as well at the Dukes. So nice one to add to the collection. But Jordan Ashburn still on the fight and still certainly within striking distance. We talked about it all day long. Even Brandy pointed out it's when things are going right, they're going right. But then a blink of an eye can completely derail your race. A rock kicks you just the wrong way when you're unexpecting it, and you find yourself down in a big way. So hopefully these guys are going to keep it on 2 wheels, and we're going to keep see this back and forth fight that we've had so far for the last 1 hour and almost 52 minutes.
I really want to see from this drone, and it does look, Liam Draper just opened it up big time in that section. I thought the way the camera shots were overlapping, maybe I was seeing something correctly, but something happening in that section of racetrack, whether it be Draper just really intensifying the pace or perhaps a miscue from Jordan Ashburn in the number 2 spot, but he was much closer a couple camera shots ago. Draper has really opened it up now. Now we see Ben Kelly coming through that camera shot where we just saw Craig DeLong a moment ago.
Yeah, and either one I think is very possible for as far as Draper and Ashburn go. It looks like Ashburn's starting to hang it out just a little bit more than what we've been seeing from him. I know in that one camera shot really digging in deep into that berm and the back end stepping out, and it looked like he was all about it. He was there for it, so very well could have had some troubles there for Ashburn, but we'll see if we can get a little bit better shot here as far as how far behind he is. But right now, following along with the Yamaha rider here on the Yamaha Racing Live Drone and getting some good shots here this weekend from the Live Drone, I must say.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Looks like we're zooming a little bit more. We're able to get up close and personal here on that Yamaha Racing Live Drone. You almost read the graphics kit here on Liam Draper. But, man, it's so impressive. We know he is pushing the pace. Heart rate's probably 180 beats plus per minute, and he's still just doing these small little technical things, wheelie in here, just floating the bike here and there. It's so fun to see what is almost second nature to these riders. We can't stress enough how impressive it is. Truly some of the best off-road racers in the entire world.
And as we watch that gap now definitely opening up over Jordan Ashburn, you have to start to build the hype. Could this be the day? Liam Draper has been so close so many times in the last now 2+ seasons since he's been in XC work, near 2 seasons since he's moved to that XC1 class. And we saw so much hype at the end of 2024. He comes in, had 3 overall podiums from that XC1 class. And then last year, so close to the win so many times, as close as inches, his teammate Caleb Russell edging him out at the John Penton. And, man, it's just got to be seeming like it's right there within your grasp. Well, today, it is very well within his grasp. He's leading, and he's opening up a gap over Jordan Ashburn. So he's doing all the things right now with about 2.5 laps remaining. Today could be the day.
Well, and on top of that, not only is he fighting for arguably his first XC1 win, but arguably fighting to continue to stay in this points battle as well. And we were able to talk to the 198 about the current point situation headed into round number 5.
Camp Kirker was good. I had good success there last year, so I was looking forward to it. But yeah, just trying to chip away at Ben's lead he got. I had a bad round there in Florida, so just trying to chip away. I think it's 13 points down now, so yeah, still trying to find that first win. So hopefully it's tomorrow.
And there it was. You heard it right at the end of the interview. Still trying to find that first win. And that's a big accomplishment as well, that I think we see a lot of these riders kind of taking that next step to true belief to be able to be a championship, caliber rider. Not that they don't believe in themselves, as they should. I mean, at this point, regardless of whether he's gotten an XC1 win or not, I think nobody would argue that he's more than capable of it. But there's something to be said about going from I can do it to I've done it. I've won it once. Now can I continue to put these results in and arguably take a championship?
Well, he's put himself in a great spot to do just that here today, and thanks to our pilot, Mr. Scholl, we were able to get that shot we were asking for and see how far the gap has grown, and it's definitely growing, Johnny.
Well, the gap is growing, but the points gap is actually shrinking. In fact, as they run on course right now, some quick math, 30 points for a win. Liam Draper would actually overtake Ben Kelly for the series points lead by 1 point if Ben Kelly continues in that number 5 spot, and Draper is able to grab the win here today. So that would be a huge, huge win. Not only the first one of his career, but taking over the overall series points lead. And 5 winners in 5 races. A few years ago, I think we had 7 or 8 winners in the season.
7 in a row, 7 in the first 7, and then Josh Strang made it 8 at the last round of our first year, 2023.
8 winners in 13 rounds. Well, hey, maybe it'll be 13 winners in 13 rounds here in 2026. But with looking to be potentially 5 winners in 5 rounds if Liam Draper can hold on to this one. And honestly, all of the riders inside the top 10, with the exception of the only repeat winner we have in the top 10 is Ben Kelly. Am I missing someone? Ashburn hasn't won yet. DeLong hasn't won. Jack Walker obviously hasn't won. Ben Kelly obviously does have a win. The Florida win with Kowski, Tino, Russell, Baylor, Strang. So looking odds on, unless Ben Kelly can really get on the move here and get up and battle for this win, we are going to have a first-time winner in 2026 with 9 of the top 10 riders as they run.
And that's just those stats are a testament to how good the racing here is at GNCC.
Well, that's what we talked about. I remember us saying it in 2023, and it's only, I feel like, gotten deeper since then as far as what these riders are capable of doing. And on top of that, yes, it's great to hear that we have riders capable of grabbing wins, but what that also does is emphasize those bad races. You talk about winning championships on your bad day. I mean, you look at 1 and 2 in points. Round 1 for Ben Kelly, a 9th place overall. Not what he was hoping for. Round 2, a 13th for Liam Draper, and an 8th at round 1. So, arguably what's been a 9-1-3-3 and then an 8-13-2-2, if he could have just improved one of those overalls, Liam Draper could be sitting in the points lead. He could be arguably your overall points leader at that moment. So really kind of goes back to the old saying of you win your championships on your bad days and mitigating those bad results. We heard Ben Kelly's interview earlier. Yes, I want to win if it's there, but big goal, consistent podiums, points, and championship.
Yeah, consistent podiums, even without a win, could definitely win you a championship here in GNCC with the way we've been seeing things. Or quite the opposite. You could win several races and not find yourself with a championship on a season like this. What are you seeing, Johnny?
Well, I'm scrolling down through the top 100 overall, and still not seeing Stu Baylor or Grant Davis. So it does not appear that either of those have been able to make any significant gains on the issues they were experiencing. As we look at our XC1 class, Stu still only 1 lap complete. Grant has checked in now with 3 laps complete, but he is 25 minutes behind Josh Toth and outside the top 100 overall. Looking at, see if we can get exactly what is over. He's well outside the top 100. At this point, Josh Toth is not even in the top 20 overall, and he's 25 minutes behind.
Oh, man.
Grant Davis, and this is going to be it. They're calling it a day for Grant Davis, and effectively ending his run here, unfortunately, here today, and that will. That's a big blow in the points and his hopes for an overall championship. With 3 DNFs in the first 5 rounds, that's an absolute disaster.
I know it probably doesn't soften it much for him, but he's not going to be the only one. Like we were saying, Baylor having troubles, and this one's still far from over, just now hitting about the 2/3 of the way mark.
Here comes your leader, Liam Draper, floating that Ampro Yamaha through up on the pegs and on the charges. He continues to push the pace. And
a little closer.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. It looks like Ashburn has responded just a little bit.
This is that section of racetrack where we said Jordan Ashburn seems to be a little faster. They've got the tale of 2 cities. The one side of the track a little more rocky and loose, seemingly where Jordan Ashburn is excelling, and the opposite side more hard pack. And that is where Liam Draper is really putting that trials tire and his riding skills to work. And now Craig DeLong, I don't know that was 23 seconds. He may be making up a little bit of time on Jordan Ashburn in that number 3 spot, trying to get himself back in the mix in that battle, potentially getting back in the battle for a win.
Bro, and don't forget, he's also in a time battle with Jack Walker for that final OA spot on the podium as well. So could be getting pit boards. Hey, the kid's trying to creep up and steal that 3rd place overall from you. So DeLong on the fight and on the charge right now, trying to close in on Jordan Ashburn.
Looking at the overall and looking at those lap times, DeLong with a 26.25 and Jack Walker with a 26.23. So talk about cutting it close. They're separated by about 21 seconds on track, and Walker able to make up about 2 seconds of that last lap. So not quite enough to get himself right in the battle, but they are close. So, you know, if he can keep doing that the next couple laps, we're going to be talking a handful of seconds, the difference between your leader of XC2, Jack Walker, and 3rd place on track, Craig DeLong, in the battle for the final podium position. And here comes Ben Kelly now. That is 4th place in XC1. And there is Mike Rakowski, and there is Caleb Russell. So that he is now to the rear wheel of Rakowski. And those 3 riders, as they run 4th, 5th, and 6th on track with Jack Walker in the mix on corrected time. That is quite the battle. Back to your leader, Liam Draper.
Yeah, Johnny, in the past few seasons, since 2023, that's something we've talked about a lot, is the XC2 class getting up there in those top overall spots, and Jack Walker saying, hey, I want to bring that back here in 2026.
Yeah, you know, and we've seen last year it was Cody Barnes, obviously Grant Davis out of that XC2 class, and Gus Reardon. And now Jack Walker and Jason Tino both inside the top 10 overall, saying, hey, it's not just those guys. We can do it as well. And Jack Walker putting a phenomenal ride here today on that factory beta. Whoa, look at that. Whoa, that was a big moment for Jordan Ashburn. You could see how much speed he was carrying down that hill. Looked like the suspension compressed, rebounded, and he about went for a ride into the weeds. And is that Craig DeLong? No, it is not.
And Johnny, those I don't know if those are quite weeds or brush. I believe that is straight up briars.
Brush.
Yeah, super steep hill. OPAG is saying as Craig DeLong makes his way down it right now, but yeah, not quite able to do justice at just how steep. Not only that hill, but most of our hills. The one coming into the finish line, all over the property, they are very steep.
You can see the track crew kind of inspecting things there up on top, watching these guys as they work their way down there. They put in the work throughout the last several weeks to prepare this facility and get this track ready to go. Taking a little break before they got to go down and tear it all back down and head off to our next round in Tennessee with some other events in between. So those guys always busy. Give them a little bit of shout out on Racer TV. So that was Ashburn in the number 2 spot coming the other way. And Craig DeLong should be coming into the shot here in just a few moments. And there he is, second machine in our camera shot. That's one of our B riders. DeLong there in the number 3 spot, charging hard, trying to track down Jordan Ashburn.
This has been a good one so far. here at our 5th round here of the 2026 season. We're doing it like the Duke boys here today, as Liam Draper now leading the way ahead of Jordan Ashburn, but that is not the way things started. Ashburn off to a good start to it. He was able to lead that opening lap, but now we see the Ampro Yamaha take over the lead, and he is looking very racy in this one, definitely pushing the envelope big time, and he very well could make our 5th winner in 5 races. We'll be right back with more action on Racer TV.
Love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of a gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach. Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Rocky Mountain ATVMC Dukes GNCC here in Knott County, Kentucky. Back GNCC racing in the great state for the first time in 13 years, and trying to grab his XC1 win for the first time is the 198 Ampro Yamaha of Liam Draper. On your screen, the Yamaha Racing Live drone picking up our Yamaha leader right now, looking solid out front.
Zach, I'm interested to see exactly where Jordan Ashburn is at, because we went to break and it looked like Ashburn was on a charge. This seemed to be the section of racetrack, and there he is. He's closed up the gap again. So every time we think Liam Draper has stretched it out and starting to get away, we get to that section of racetrack where Jordan Ashburn is able to make up time, and now he sees just up the trail ahead of him the 198 of Draper. This battle is far from over.
Yeah, this is certainly with about 55 minutes or so left to go before we expect to see a checkered flag. Nothing done quite yet. Craig DeLong back there in the third place spot. And then don't forget Jack Walker sitting at 4th OA out of your XC2 class. Got that adjusted time to work with, trying to see if he can sneak up and steal an overall podium away as well.
Ashburn really letting that bike dance underneath him. I saw it step out quite a few times, and it seems like he's there for it. It is full steam ahead.
Yeah, and Jordan Ashburn can see Liam now, so that is a big advantage for Ashburn. When Liam starts to get away, obviously he can see the dust and he's getting pit boards, but it can be so frustrating when you're trying so hard and not able to see the rider ahead of you. All of a sudden you catch a glimpse to him. Man, it's like getting a shot of adrenaline straight to the heart. Ashburn is absolutely hanging it out. We
we've spoken about it. Ashburn, a rider that normally just very under control, very smooth. We've seen him get sketchy quite a few times this lap, but he's still making up ground on Draper, which really just goes to show how hard he's pushing and how bad he wants this.
Yes, and it also is a testament to how fast Draper is going out there as well.
Well, we were calling Liam Draper the Wyatt Wilkin of today yesterday, just fully sending it, but somehow Jordan Ashburn finding a way to make up ground. This one is getting interesting, folks. If you don't have your snacks, if you don't have your beverages, get them, because we are coming down to what will be a 2-lap card in the hand of Ricky Towery in just another couple corners here. We are pushing this one right to the limit, and Liam Draper is pushing it for all he's worth at the moment.
Man, Johnny, this is a fun one to watch. Liam Draper on the throttle hard, sliding his way through these corners, hop, skipping, and jumping his way through, kind of Jet Lawrence-esque out here, and man, he was looking good today. He said it. He said this could be the race. When we interviewed him yesterday, he said that, hey, hopefully tomorrow, and he's carrying that confidence with him right now.
Let's keep an eye on these lap times. 26:10 last lap for Liam Draper, and a 26:18 for Jordan Ashburn. Everybody else behind them a little bit slower in the 26:20s and 26:30s. But as they come through now with just a few more corners until we can see those red tents off in the distance, that is the finish line. There will be a 2-lap board waiting for Liam Draper, your race leader. 26:10 last lap. We'll see if this kind of push that Jordan Ashburn has made has also pushed Liam Draper to go faster. But we know Craig DeLong lurking back there as well. So if the lap time sped up, have they slowed down? We're going to find out here in just a few more corners.
There is Mr. Ricky Towery holding that 2-lap board in his hand.
Jackson. Sir Ricky Towery.
Sir,
he's the Duke
yes.
now, okay?
The Duke of Hazard County.
Yeah, but sure enough, an official one. And it really is an official one. I saw it with my own eyes. There it is, 2-lap board out for Jordan Ashburn.
26:02, so they have picked up the pace just a little bit, about 8 seconds faster, and a 26:04 for Jordan Ashburn, so 7 seconds behind. Jordan Ashburn continues to keep himself in this fight for the win here today. Neither of our two front riders, actually our top 4 riders, having a win here so far in 2026, so if they're able to get it done, we will have 5 winners in 5 rounds. Not something we're needing to hype up here because it's happening all on its own.
So here we go, Draper on the charge now.
I think something worth noting here, guys, is how much dust Draper is kicking up now. I noticed when I walked out the Racer TV trailer just a few minutes ago that things were getting a lot more dusty outside than what we've been seeing a little bit earlier here today. The sun is finally coming out. It was a very cool night last night, down to about 40 degrees or so, and ooh, man, skipping out just a little bit. That's the same kind of stuff we've been seeing from Ashburn as well. These guys really starting to push the pace. But as I was saying, a cooler day here today, but the sun is now shining. It's starting to warm up, and the wind has been blowing, so this place is really starting to dry out.
Craig DeLong has entered the chat with a 25:57, the fastest lap of the top 3, making up 6 seconds on that lap of racing. 7 seconds, actually, he did make up, and he is only 16 seconds behind, so he is not out of this one just yet, with still 2 laps of racing remaining.
So taking a look at your last lap times, it is Draper with that 26:02, DeLong with 25:57, and then we're looking at 26:56 for Ben Kelly as well. So
well, those are still going to be there. Well, now they have checked in, and actually at 26:28
okay.
For Ben Kelly. So they are just now checking in. Those are not updated. Those are from the last lap. But now having checked in behind Craig DeLong, Ben Kelly is 1 minute and 18 seconds back, with Mike Witkowski 1 second behind Ben Kelly. And Caleb Russell, we thought the .08 was close. Now .07 behind for Caleb Russell. So it was Witkowski all over Kelly, and also Russell all over Witkowski. So those 3 still in the same order, but very much battling it out. But 1 minute and 18 seconds behind Craig DeLong for that final podium position.
Man, great shots right here from our Racer TV camera showing how meticulously and careful these riders are going through some of these corners. And I was going to point that out earlier, Jackson. You were talking about Draper being on the charge, and he's up on the pegs a lot too. You're seeing him stand deep into these corners, really holding on tight with the legs, trying to counteract any kicking left or right from these rocks, and it's working well for him. You see them start to sit down and they start to squirrel out just a little bit, but Draper focused forward as we had DeLong in that last camera shot.
Well, here's an interesting point. I'm looking at a running order. Jack Walker has not checked in, but at 1 minute and 18 seconds behind Ben Kelly, Jack Walker would have need to have checked in already.
Yep, Jason Tino just jumped up.
There we go. Jason Tino checks in. He is your new leader, and in 4th overall.
Looking at elapsed time, though, he is well over a minute 15 plus 14 plus another 4, so a minute 18 behind Craig DeLong. So Craig DeLong looking like he's sitting pretty in that number 3 spot right now, and only 16 seconds behind second place of Jordan Ashburn.
Man, so got to wonder what happened to Jack Walker, like we said.
He has checked in now, 18 seconds behind Jason Tino in the number 2 spot in XC2.
So there it is, man. Something has definitely happened out there to Jack Walker.
27:13 lap time, so about a minute slower than the overall leader, so he definitely lost some time out there.
Yeah, don't want to speculate. Anything could have happened in this one. There's no doubt. So tough break for Jack Walker, but still going to be in the fight and still sitting in a podium spot for that XC2 class. That's going to leave the door open for Tino to be able to pull something off. Can Tino now get himself up on the overall podium? He's got about 45 minutes or so to get it done.
This next little section of racetrack is great. He's just so dialed in, so good. He's been able to close in on Jordan Ashburn when he was behind and pull away when he's ahead. But the section we just came out of is where Ashburn makes up ground. So we'll see, is Ashburn able to find anything in this section of racetrack? Potentially some alternate lines, just hanging it out a little bit more this lap for sure. Can he stay closer to Liam Draper to try to bring the fight to him when they get into the section of racetrack here coming up in a couple miles where he is very clearly ahead of him?
We're going to see kicking up a lot of dust now as they make their way down those steep hills.
Don't think we'll see any pit stops this lap. It looks like since they did do 3 laps, we'll see if they're able to do 4, or we may see a splash possibly for some of these riders. If they're not confident in making that 4-lap sprint to the finish, they may end up on a 2-lap strategy. We'll find out here in just about one more corner for Liam Draper as he's pitted on this next straightaway. Taking a bottle there, I'm assuming not planning a pit. You wouldn't think he would take any hydration. And then Jordan Ashburn also with the hydration. Look at that handoff from his wife, Mary. Smooth as silk. Didn't even break throttle. No pit for Draper. Don't anticipate seeing a pit out of Ashburn either. So the battle will rage on here as they work their way around this Duke's facility here in Kentucky. And this one has been one for the ages already with still almost 2 laps of racing remaining.
Liam Draper centering that rock right there. No problems for him, though. Makes it through clear. And then seeing Craig DeLong now on the screen, and he's looking racy, guys.
Wild out Willie Boy status there.
We saw that. I mean, that was
Ben
elbow
Kelly's
down.
got the best one I've seen so far. He was up there.
Yeah, but Craig DeLong had the elbow tucked into the rib cage for maximum, maximum forward drive and maximum hammer down. Sometimes all it takes is a little hammer down, and Craig DeLong laying it all on the line right now, trying to catch the 2 leaders on screen in front of him.
Here we go, Draper. You can see in some of these sections he's using the very edges of the track, and it almost seems like some spots are so chewed up they've worked back to the dead center of the course as well. It's not smooth, but it's actually a bit smoother now than what was the smooth line just a bit ago.
You can see Draper working his way around to the left rider, not being able to use the preferred line, having to kind of tuck to the inside, bounce over that rock. We see that a lot. They're kind of bouncing over. Look at that, a look over the shoulder there, trying to get eyes on exactly where Jordan Ashburn is at. A lap rider in between them, but he is definitely very aware that he has a pursuer behind him, performing Jordan Ashburn in that Phoenix Racing Honda.
See some of the Yamaha staff there sprinkled around this course, trying to give information to their rider when they can, helping give some splits, stuff like that. At this point, when it's this close, Johnny, as a team guy, are you giving numbers? Are you giving splits? Are you just giving motivation and cheering them on?
Yeah, I mean, I think Draper is aware of where Jordan Ashburn is at. I think probably just kind of trying to keep him abreast of keep him focused. Look at that, almost connects with the lapped rider there. Hydration, information, anything you can do to kind of keep the rider calm and focused on the task at hand. But right now, Liam Draper, motivated by the big number 3 of Jordan Ashburn behind him and the potential of his first ever career win, about a lap and 3/4 ahead of him. So motivation probably not a problem for him right now. Just staying focused, hitting his marks, and trying to race forward is what Liam Draper looks like he's focused on at the moment.
Yeah, Draper staying on those pegs, standing up around most of this course and really controlling that machine with his legs and keeping it stable as he can. And it looks like it's working to his advantage right now for sure. Around another lap rider he goes.
Hey, there's us back to the trailer.
And there's Jason Tino.
There is
his
your
way.
XC2 leader. And fourth
Into the
place
pits.
overall, looking like he is going to stop for fuel this lap, assuming a second stop, because I don't think he would have been able to make it 5 laps, but a quick splash, definitely leading him to believe that was just a safety splash. Having a lead of about 18 seconds over Jack Walker when they checked in at the completion of that previous lap just a few miles ago. Draper getting loose through that section, letting that back end of that Ampro Yamaha 450 kind of float through the rocks, and he is pushing the pace and trying to open up a gap over Jordan Ashburn. This is the section where Draper's so good, and then we get into this looser stuff coming up, and that's where it seems that Jordan Ashburn is able to close up that gap. We'll keep an eye on that and see if that is the case again this lap.
Well, and you can almost tell that Draper knows that as well. He is hammering down right now, opening up that Ampro Yamaha and doing everything he can to try to give himself a bit more breathing room, slices his way past yet another lap rider.
These guys are really hanging it out. This is a very, very, very intense pace that Draper, obviously Ashburn, DeLong, all these guys up top are pushing on a very unsure race surface. So many rocks floating around, the ground just so hard. There, Draper takes a look over his shoulder, does not see Ashburn in that particular corner, so he knows he's got a little breathing room.
When I'm watching Draper and talking about him standing up for so much of this track and staying on the pegs, it just goes to show me all I can think about is just how tough and how fit he is to be able to do this. Liam posts a lot about his heart rate and how it stays up 170 plus mark for the majority of these events, and right now these lap times are about the same as a pro motocross moto and a much longer than most other dirt bike races, and Liam Draper able to go the whole lap pretty much standing up on the pegs.
Yeah, and he actually, I believe, I'm pretty certain he is training with Zach Osborne, a former outdoor motocross champion and supercross champion as well. So he definitely has the information to pass along to his athletes, trains a number of GNCC athletes, and they pay very close attention to that heart rate to prepare for days like today where you have the opportunity to go for the gold, but you got to be able to hang it all out to make it happen for 3 hours. There is Josh Strang, a hydration handoff for him from his wife Cameron. Looks like Gavin Simon out of that XC2 class there, running in the number 3 spot, so in a podium position in that 10th place spot overall. And then Chase Landers still showing in that 11th place spot overall. Yep, he has checked in out of that 258 class. Looking back, 2 minutes and 4 seconds was the gap that he had, and that's actually not second in class. Lane Whitmer is second in class. Oh, actually only 18 seconds behind. Nope, sorry, Hunter Smith, I was mistakenly saying, was out of that Open A class. He is actually racing the 258 class. I believe he had formerly run that Open A class. So in the number 2 spot in 250A and second place overall amateur, Hunter Smith with a big gap of 2 minutes and 4 seconds to make up on Chase Landers.
Still following along here with the Ampro Yamaha machine from our Yamaha Racing Live drone, and we got to see in that shot there with Simon as Liam Draper makes his way through a ton of rocks. That's something we don't talk about, and something that's so easy to forget when you're watching or when you're at home and you're not out there. That's stuff like that can take the wind out of your sails so fast. They're undoubtedly, these guys are absolutely getting pelted by those rocks, and seeing some of the riders, like we had a great shot earlier of Caleb Russell slinging absolute boulder Zach, and one of those hits you just right, and it'll definitely take the wind out of your sails, and that's the kind of stuff you don't really think about, don't talk about a whole lot.
Well, I got to tell you, Jackson, quick story. Many, many years ago in the early days of my, oh, look at this, Liam Draper.
Is that Draper?
No, I don't think it's him stuck. I think he's having to make the pass, unless I'm hard to see through the coverage, but I think that's Draper that made the pass on that lapped rider that was stuck there, but it definitely did jam him up. Yeah, that was Draper, and there's Ashburn, the third bike in your camera shot. That lapped rider taking another line, opening up the opportunity, makes 2 passes on lapped riders, and gained a few seconds on Draper there. That rider was stuck in a rut or on some roots, hard to see what's going on down there, but Draper had to check way up, try to get to the inside, almost came to a stop, and definitely was advantage Jordan Ashburn in that section of racetrack.
Yeah, Ashburn having to check up just a bit, but nothing like Draper just had to check up. I do believe he pretty much came to a stop there getting around that rider. Hard to tell exactly, like you were saying, Johnny, what that section was, but I'm sure a gnarly one.
Yeah, it sometimes just where the dirt gets kind of chewed out between 2 roots, your wheel can fall into that hole, and it almost becomes like a mud hole. You're stuck between 2 roots. Looked like possibly what was going on, because we definitely don't have any mud in this particular section of racetrack, although we did have that rain last night. But to your point about those rocks, many, many years ago, as a young XC1 rider, I didn't feel I needed to wear knee pads. I just felt I could move better without them. Later in my career, I need braces because I no longer had ACLs. But we were at Loretta Lynn's. There used to be a GNCC there many years ago, and we ran the creek beds with those loose rocks, and a rider in front of me picked up a rock, and it hit me square in the kneecap. It was such a violent reaction. I immediately, I don't know any other way to explain it, but lost my lunch. The pain was that intense. It hit me square in the kneecap, and I was able to finish the race, but my knee was swollen. So these rocks, if they hit you at speed, when they hit your helmet, it's this deafening, just your ears will ring. They can hit you in the goggles, kind of just leave bruises.
Jackie Legs knows about that.
Yeah, at Daytona, I took my bike out there myself, went and did a couple motos, and the last one of the day, the boys were given a little peer pressure. I wasn't wanting to go out, and sure enough, off the start, got absolutely hammered with one right in the mouth, and that's what I get, talking crap all day. One smacked me in the mouth. But, Johnny, I actually did a little bit of research, and when those rocks are being thrown from the wheel, however fast that tire is going is how fast that rock's going to go out. So they're going 45, 50 miles an hour right now. That rock's going to go 45 or 50, but the one key thing to that, if you jump out the rut, or let's say they jump and they get wheel spin, and that tire picks up to 100 miles an hour, that'll shoot a rock at 100-plus miles an hour at you.
Yeah, no, and these big, these riders out front, Liam Draper on a 450, and Jordan Ashburn as well on a 450cc machine, those things, ton of torque, ton of power. They can sling these very sharp, very heavy rocks at a pretty high rate of speed, and they've got a lot of inertia and a lot of mass to them. So when they hit you, imagine just standing there and having a major league pitcher essentially throw fastballs at you, except they're not round and soft. They're hard rocks with pointy edges.
And it was funny you said that, because Brandy Richards kept talking about marbly, and we know what that means, kind of allowing the tires to skate on top of the rocks as though you're slipping on marbles, but they're not smooth and round, just like you said.
Right there.
Right at the bottom of that shot, they are almost look like arrowheads at some of these parts, where it's like somebody sharpened the edges on these things.
And ironically, Johnny, when I was doing my research with my best friend ChatGPT, that's exactly what they it compared it to. But it was a major league pitcher.
Jackson, never tell anyone ChatGPT is your best friend. We know you got plenty of friends in real life. We don't want to make you seem like you're sitting there having conversations with your phone, but I get it. Great resource. Personally, hate AI. I'll just get that out there. Liam Draper on screen, leading
what
the way.
If I started?
No, all good. I'm old. It scares me. I don't want the robots taking over. But taking over right now, Liam Draper on his way, continuing to lead this one in pursuit of his first ever career win here this weekend in Kentucky. What a big moment that would be for him. But look at this. Craig DeLong, did you see that corner? What has gotten into Craig DeLong? He is a man on a mission and making up time on both Jordan Ashburn and Liam Draper.
Definitely carrying a little bit more speed than they did through that section, that is for sure, and it looked like he didn't have any plans on slowing up. Charging back off out of our camera shot here as we wait for our next rider. No, going to pop with Craig DeLong. This will be a good one to follow with right here on our Yamaha Racing Live drone.
Craig DeLong on a mission in the number 3 spot, 16 seconds behind when they checked in. It is less than that now, and he is absolutely on rails, pushing that Rockstar Racing Husqvarna 350 to its limits, trying to chase down the two 450s ahead of him on the trail. So 100 less CCs, but he's making it work right now. He is digging, just pushing the pace and continuing. There you see just ahead of him, 2 corners. That is not 16 seconds. That's about 7 or 8 seconds to Jordan Ashburn ahead of him.
And he knows it too. He's riding through dust right now. He knows he's starting to get close. I'm sure the team's letting him know as well. So DeLong trying to snag a podium. 10 seconds being told from OPAG.
So he's made up 6 seconds in just a couple miles of trail.
And he needs that as well for Tino back there. He needs to continue to keep pushing. Tino's going to be right there to capitalize as far as time goes.
Long just absolutely pushing, leaving no seconds to spare. You can see he's kind of running a hybrid. We see Liam Draper running those insides, and it looks like Jordan Ashburn still continuing to kind of bury that Phoenix Racing Honda in the berms to try to find traction and something to turn off of. Craig DeLong kind of in the middle of the two, but he is running the same tire that Jordan Ashburn is, so just difference in riding style.
Just waiting and watching here. Not waiting, we are just sitting back and watching as Craig DeLong puts on a masterclass right now, as the two boys in front of him are as well. And seeing different riding styles, but it's working for all three of them.
Jackson, you made the comparison earlier to the heart rates and the length of the moto. Think about that. This would be their 5th consecutive outdoor moto of 30, well, give or take 30 plus 2, but they'd be working on their 5th completed moto, and they still have another lap plus the miles in between here and the finish line this lap. So they are digging deep for this for sure. There we see right of screen, just above the Yamaha Racing Live drone, that is Liam Draper. Now coming up the hill, that is Jordan Ashburn in the number 2 spot. And here is Craig DeLong in 3rd. So all 3 riders again in that Yamaha Racing Live drone shot. We have not seen that here in the last couple laps, so things definitely starting to tighten up at the sharp end of the field.
Yeah, and to your points, you talk about Zach Osborne actually sending me Liam Draper's heart rate information from, I believe, a year or so ago. And you take the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes when the race is about to start and it ends out. It's basically entirely zone 5, 185 beats plus per minute. Doctors argue whether or not that's even physically possible, and the data speaks for itself. I know on a separate note, I heard Hunter Hart saying he has started to work with Zach Osborne as well. Got to think on the off-machine training as well. So, and Hunter's results have been speaking for themselves as well. So, just goes to show when we talk about these guys live, eat, sleep, breathe, train, it is 24/7, 365. You gotta live this to be able to be competitive here on Saturday or Sunday.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that the doctors say it's not possible, because going back many years ago, no one in GNCC, even many years ago, no one in motocross really knew what heart rate was or how it worked. And as it started to introduce itself into our sport, there was a lot of pushback as social media became a thing, saying that these heart rates have been manipulated, and there's no way that you can maintain a heart rate that high for that long. It is factual. They are not manipulated. And these are not, for those that know a little bit about training and heart rates, these are not wrist-based. These guys are wearing chest straps, so they are accurate heart rates, and they will oftentimes maintain 180, 190 plus for 3 hours, and that just goes to show how grueling this is. And that's why a lot of times after these races, when you see these guys, you're kind of looking into an empty set of eyes.
Yes.
Caleb Russell used to call it blackout mode. You just get to this point where your body's telling you you're done, and your mind says, well, if I want to win this thing, I need to keep going. Absolute athletes, no question, and they put in the work during the week to be able to do this on the weekends.
Yeah, the physical exertion leads to a mental fatigue like none other. I think about, wait a second, speaking of Caleb Russell,
I believe
there he is on screen.
Ben Kelly is now back to the number 6 spot physically on track, and both Mike Witkowski and Caleb Russell have gotten around Ben Kelly. So that now is an even bigger points lead for Liam Draper if things finish the way they are. What was a 1-point lead on screen, hypothetically, with Liam Draper leading and Ben Kelly in the number 5 spot, would now be a 3-point lead in the overall championship standings for Liam Draper in that Am Pro Yamaha.
How about it? We say it. Blink in the entire series can flip-flop just like that. 2 goes to 1. Still got about half an hour or so before we expect to see a checkered flag.
And just to clarify that, on your point sheet, if you're looking at home, 13 points is the lead for Ben Kelly coming into the day today. So we are talking about theoretical points as they run, as they would say in Supercross. So if Liam Draper is able to grab the win here today, that would be 30 points. Ben Kelly sitting in that number 7 spot, that would be 14 points. So that would be a difference of 16 points. 13 points down, he would now be 3 points ahead. So what a shakeup in the points that would be. Here is your XC2 leader on screen, Jason Tino. What would be, I believe, his first ever XC2 win. I don't think he's had some podiums, being rewarded after a good solid season with that factory KTM ride, riding under that factory tent. He's been solid throughout the first part of the season, but this would be his first win for that team and of his career in that XC2 class. And what a way to do it. Right now running in the 4th place spot in the overall. He was in the mix. The XC2 was in the mix for that overall podium. He still is in the 4th spot, but when you look at elapsed time, he was about 1 minute and 18 seconds behind Craig DeLong. So we're going to need to see either a big push out of Tino or something to happen to one of our top 3 and lose some time. But making up some time, Jordan Ashburn now back almost to the rear wheel of Liam Draper on screen. This is the battle for the lead, folks.
Speaking of heart rates, I bet his is climbing right now.
It'd be interesting to line the heart rate up with the Racer TV broadcast and be able to actually watch, whether it be a close call and all of a sudden the heart rate spikes or suddenly realizes he's under immediate pressure. But nonetheless, even when he's at his calmest, it's still probably 180 beats per minute.
We can add that to the wish list because Garmin does have the ability to broadcast the live heart rate to a receiver. So maybe we can get that. We can get that in the future. But
OPAG, write that down.
Right now, we are theorizing that it's somewhere around 1 million for both of these two riders. But realistically, they are definitely up into the high 170s, if not 180s. And for those at home that don't know what that means, go out, run 15 laps around your house as fast as you possibly can until you cannot breathe. Do that for 3 hours. That's what these guys are doing right now.
Well, one big thing that people that don't understand it or don't think it's possible, I think that they don't consider it is we're not running on a treadmill here. We're not running around a baseball field. This is putting all kinds of risk on these riders. There's so much adrenaline. There's so much going through their heads. There's all those, like when you're almost in a car crash, Johnny, or something like that. That happens 100 times a lap, especially in GNCC.
Oh, we're getting an update on Jack Walker. We're being told he had to stop 3 different times out on the racetrack, so that could potentially impact where he's at in the running order. We're still showing him in that 8th place spot overall and 2nd in XC2. Jason Tino, when they came through and checked in, had, I believe, an 18-second lead over Walker. Yes, it was 18.6 seconds, but that may open up if Walker's having some struggles out there. And, theorizing what that could be, obviously a very dusty race here today. Jack Walker on that 2-stroke. We do know those 2-strokes very much more susceptible to sucking in dirt. 3 air filter. Potentially we may see him come in for an air filter change. Again, just a theory, just me talking. We have no information. But what we do know is they are now getting ever so close to a white flag in the hands of Ricky Towery, meaning one more lap of racing here at the Dukes GNCC in Hazard, Kentucky. And this one is far from over because the battle you see on screen is the battle for the win.
Sure is, and you can really see from this Yamaha Racing live drone at just how dry this facility has gotten, even just since the start of this race, but especially since this morning. Like I was saying, a very cool night last night, about 40 degrees or so, and getting some sprinkles all through the night, less than an inch of rain, not a whole lot of rain coming down, just enough that it wetted most of the track. And Johnny, you said it yesterday during the broadcast, and it was exactly what happened. Those silt burns that were built up by the ATVs, even first thing this morning, as soon as the riders got into it, we saw dust coming up, but nonetheless, the other parts of the track were very wet. Now it looks like all those wet places have officially dried up.
Well, Jackson, I had the opportunity during this youth race this morning, our 8 a.m. race, to go down and inspect some of the track, and it was amazing how good the dirt was. But with that wind blowing, the sun out, and all of these machines continuing to churn that dirt up, it's just dried out so quickly. It's hard when you have dirt like this. It just doesn't hold moisture. Even when it's very, very wet, it dries out so quickly. When you get into some places that have better dirt, when you get into Indiana, certain places of Ohio besides the John Penton, where there's some good dirt, it will hold that moisture longer. But right now, with the sun and the wind, it's just continuing to dry out and only going to get dustier and more slick from here.
Here we go, guys. The white flags are waving in the hands of the Duke himself, Mr. Ricky Towery. The boys have to do the dance one more time here in Kentucky.
Look at this. In the same corner, Liam Draper, white flag in hand. He knows only one more lap. He needs to hold on to that lead position, but Jordan Ashburn throwing everything he has at it, getting a pit board from one of the team members. There you saw the different lines. Draper, now there he goes to the outside and buries it into the berm, but Ashburn just running those outsides everywhere. A different tire selection for these two riders, leading some different line choices, and we're seeing it really unfurl right in front of us. Now, let's talk about it. We're back to the section where Liam Draper seems to be faster, so Ashburn has been closing. Bike lengths and seconds each and every turn through the last several miles of racetrack. Now we're to the part of the racetrack where Liam Draper seemingly is just a little bit more confident, carrying a little bit more speed, creeping those insides, and finding grip where Jordan Ashburn is having to run those outsides, try to carry his speed and his momentum to keep up with the 198 Ampro Yamaha in front of him.
I feel like he's been changing up his line some there for Jordan Ashburn compared to the last few laps, possibly trying to find a smooth way around here, just like Zach was saying. What was the good line is definitely not going to be here at the end of this one.
Well, and it's so impressive, going off of what you and Johnny have talked about. You mentioned the heart rates, the mental fatigue that goes along with what these riders are doing. You think about they're dealing with changing conditions, they're dealing with lap riders, unpredictable situations, but at the same time, they're so aware of their machines and the tire choices. You and Brandy, Johnny, broke it down perfectly what the strengths are of the two different tires that these riders are using, and you saw it on perfect display. Even in the heat of battle, Liam Draper still cutting down underneath, making sure to make the most of the bike decisions that he made. Same thing with Jordan Ashburn, really trying to use things to his advantage as well. So the intellect and intelligence that these riders are showing at absolute peak fatigue, arguably just as impressive as the physical attributes themselves.
Well, and, you know, shout out to Brandy Richards. She pointed out that as the track continues to develop, she was really seeing that kind of loose, the berms getting blown out and all of that fluff getting pushed to the outside, and that those were going to be the faster lines. And she had pointed out that she felt that Jordan's tire preference might get better as the race went on. We're seeing that unfold on screen in front of us. Draper was so strong on that hard packed slick stuff earlier on, but as it gets more marbly, it seems that Jordan Ashburn is just kind of dialed in a little bit more and continuing to reel in Draper. He definitely is not giving up time as quickly in this section as he was in the previous laps through here, but Craig DeLong still back there and fighting as well. We look, and Craig DeLong 11 seconds back, so he made up another 5 seconds. So he is really still in this fight. He's not in the same camera shot for the drone, but he is right back there. Should either of these riders have a miscue on this final lap of racing, and or DeLong's able to find a few good lines and some speed, we might see a 3-rider shootout for many, many miles here on the last lap, and what a sight that would be to see. Ashburn hanging it out again, out to that outside, into the scrub, and never letting off the throttle on that Phoenix Racing Honda 450, continuing to push and try and track down Liam Draper ahead of him.
Well, and there's no question he's trying to get into that fluff. There's been a few times I thought he was going off trail, and he's really just riding that razor's edge, trying to soak up as much of those berms as he can and let those tires dig in as much as possible. It's almost digging into a lap rider right there.
Well, let me tell you something else that we don't see and can't hear from this Yamaha Racing Live drone, but I guarantee you've got two 450s on the rev limiter, not just because they're going fast, but we see how many lapped riders that we're seeing in these camera shots. And these guys are pulling the clutch in any opportunity they get, and even leaving the bike a gear low coming into the corners to try to make more noise to let those riders know, hey, we're coming. You might want to get out of the way because there's a battle coming and you're not in it.
Move or be moved at this point. This is an all-out war. One trying to grab their first ever XC1 win. Another trying to grab their first win of the season. And you can see the teams are fired up too.
That's Liam Draper's dad actually visiting this weekend from New Zealand. You can see the enthusiasm, seeing his son with the opportunity to notch his first ever career overall victory here at GNCC Racing. A former XC2 class champion, multi-time XC2 winner, multi-time overall podium finisher, but he, for the first time, he's been in position before, but really in this good of a position for this long to potentially not just first win.
It all comes down to this, and Draper's still looking strong as well. We're not seeing the head laboring. We're not seeing these silly little style mistakes or technique mistakes from Jordan or Liam. So absolute warriors going at it for one more lap. 2 hours and 40 minutes into this race.
A little shakeup in the overall, so Jason Tino still leading the way in that XC2 class. Jack Walker still in second. We were told he was making some unscheduled stops out on the racetrack, but still only 35 seconds behind Tino, but back to that 8th place spot in the overall. And Tino back to 6th in overall because the pace that Mike Witkowski and Caleb Russell are pushing has pushed them up now into the 4th and 5th place spots overall. They've gotten around Tino, they've gotten around Ben Kelly, but still, Mike Witkowski in that number 4 spot, 1 minute 38 seconds behind Craig DeLong. So all things considered, it's looking like a 3-rider battle over these 3 podium positions and also over the win.
Here we go. Saw Liam Draper did miss that bottle handoff right there. We talked about that being crucial. Here comes DeLong in for the pits as well.
And a splash for DeLong. I wasn't watching the screen. I was looking at the lap times. Did we see a splash? Okay, so no splash for Ashburn or Draper, but that Rockstar Racing Husqvarna team opting to give Craig DeLong a little extra fuel for this final lap of racing, but it did cost him a few seconds, was only 11 seconds behind, even though that was a quick splash. And go, hold on, battle for the lead on screen.
It is on. Like, I don't remember what Jackson said yesterday. Donkey Kong, yeah, we'll go with that one. Here it is.
Per Jackson, Liam is the cat and with the long tail. And
Jordan's a rocking
Jordan
chair.
Ashburn is a rocking chair. A room full of rocking chairs.
A whole room full. Well, there it is. Rear view mirror full of the Phoenix Racing Honda. Jordan Ashburn has decided it is time to try to take this lead back. He's been biding his time. He's been tracking him down. And now in the closing miles of this race, Jordan Ashburn with feet off the pegs, throttle wide open. And you see the yo-yo. Here we go. Opens back up a couple bikes.
Interesting, though, Zach. This is the section where Liam has been better all day and pulling away from Jordan Ashburn. And now it's Ashburn who's the aggressor and closing up ground and definitely carrying more speed through that section. Whether it's a case of the way the track's developing or just an all-out assault from Jordan Ashburn, he has found something in this section of racetrack which does not bode well for Liam Draper, because we know the section's coming up. Jordan Ashburn has been faster all day long, so if he's able to make the pass or even stay this close, man, Liam Draper is going to be under heavy fire throughout most of this lap if Jordan Ashburn can keep this pace up. A little bobble from Draper.
Absolutely crucial miles, and it seems like Draper can feel it as well. Trying so hard to get away, and arguably costing him is, again, they catch a little air, get pitched sideways. And the Honda trying to show him a wheel, going to lose just a little bit of time going too wide there. But this is the fight, Draper and Ashburn.
And guys, this isn't the only Ampro Yamaha and Phoenix Racing Honda battle out on the track, seeing Witkowski and Russell absolutely going at it. Only a flip-flop. The Yamaha rider chasing after the Honda rider back there. I saw him making their way through the pit row, and they are almost wheel-to-wheel.
Yeah, 2 seconds separating them when they checked in at the white flag just moments ago. They are now through the pro pits, about 1 minute and 38 seconds behind this battle for the lead that we're seeing. That is the battle over 4th place between Mike Witkowski on that Phoenix Racing Honda and Caleb Russell on that Ampro Yamaha. Jason Tino still leading the way in XC2. Ben Kelly sitting in that number 7 spot. So again, that would be 14 points on the day. We've already spoken about that. If things finish as they run, that would mean that right now, Liam Draper would be your points leader by 3 points. But if Jordan Ashburn makes the pass, that would be a 2-point advantage. All said and done for Ben Kelly, he would hang on to that point lead. So right now, Jordan Ashburn, Ben Kelly's best friend.
I'm going to let you do the math on that one, Johnny. Oh, look at this, guys. Oh, wow. And a pass for the lead, everybody. Jordan Ashburn going to be able to overtake Liam Draper.
Man, what a move. Taking the long way around, keeping the throttle on, and just, motors that Phoenix Honda to the number 1 spot. Did look like Draper tried to switch that line up and cut back underneath. Didn't quite work for him, as now he has got to find a way to chip into the lead of Ashburn and headed into arguably Ashburn's strongest part of the course.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say there, Zach. If Draper is unable to stay on the rear wheel of Ashburn here, this could prove costly, because we are coming into that section where Ashburn really has been better all day long. We've obviously got some lap riders in the mix, as we see here. That's actually a rider came over and introduced himself, a rider out of Florida from that Open A class, John. I could tell by the flannel there. He said he's joining us for GNCC this weekend. Really was looking forward to that race. So he just got himself some time on Racer TV. I promised if I saw him in his flannel shirt, I'd give him a shout out. And out of that Open B class, they're going a lap down.
So we'll have 12 flannel shirts next year. Here we go, so, Ashburn. And this is what I was curious to see. We talked about in the beginning of the race, it seemed like Draper had a little more pace, got in front of Ashburn, and we saw it stretch out. Now flip-flop that. Seems like Jordan Ashburn makes the pass and is immediately trying to put bike lanes between himself and the Yamaha.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It seems like Liam Draper almost has the wind taken out of his sails. Either that or Jordan Ashburn is just pushing the issue that much. But starting to close up just a bit now as we get in some of the tighter stuff. Seeing Draper slowly but surely getting another bike length or two. And Draper very well just getting out of that roof zone, out of the dust zone. Hard to tell, but we're getting down to the nitty-gritty in this one. 2 hours and 46 minutes into this race so far, and that is non-stop action.
Yeah, this one looking, it is going to go the full duration, 3 hours, maybe even plus a few minutes here. So Jordan Ashburn leading the way. Liam Draper in the number 2 spot. Lapped rider between them, but that lapped rider wisely making the decision to take an outside line and open the door for Liam Draper to continue through as he continues to try to track back down Jordan Ashburn, who just made the pass a few sections ago on this very demanding, very challenging racetrack. You can see Jordan Ashburn moving forward, trying to keep the front end down on that Phoenix Racing Honda 450. Liam Draper up on the pegs. We've seen that riding style all day long. Normally his riding style anyway, but even more so with that tire selection today, trying to keep that tire in grip with the ground and driving forward. But Ashburn is throwing everything at it, trying to open up a gap on Draper, get himself a little bit of breathing room through these sections of racetrack coming up.
Who is going to leave here the 5th winner in 5 rounds? We're going to know here in just about 15 minutes or so. That's what we got left in this race, at least for our lead riders, Ashburn and Draper going at it.
You see that interesting new line on the hillside opening up there. They were kind of going along those boulders at the bottom. They've elected to carry more speed up that bank, kind of get out of those rougher rocks. And that's how these racetracks develop here in GNCC. When riders see an opportunity to kind of find some smooth running room, they'll oftentimes take a longer way around, which is within the rules, 25 feet either way of the marked race course, provided there is no track tape, banners, string, or other markings. And that is definitely developing. We see that all around this racetrack here today, trying to find some smooth ground. So many rocks and so much chewed up terrain.
Weaving their way through the woods of Kentucky. The first time in 13 years we've been able to do battle here in Kentucky. And, man, so impressive to see what these riders are capable of. Ashburn, Draper, and then, man, a big shout out to Craig DeLong as well. He's been working hard, been trying to get back to the championship form that we had seen, and really seems like he's been able to put some pieces together, and these last few rounds especially. I think we've kind of known this was coming. Excited to see, hopefully, probably not some big emotion from Craig, but maybe a soft smile at least if we get a podium interview out of him for sure.
Yeah, and Jordan Ashburn, another rider we don't generally see a lot of emotion out of. But that said, you know, with this being potentially his first win of 2026 and first win on that new Phoenix Racing Honda team, we may see a little bit of jubilation out of Jordan Ashburn, a rider normally very reserved. We talked about it early on in the show. He was just kind of clicking off mile markers, normally just even keel, kind of the maybe not true north of GNCC because that's Ricky Dowry, but Jordan Ashburn just solid, rock solid, and proving that here today. But I think we're going to see a very happy Jordan Ashburn if he's able to hang on to this one, and Liam Draper if he's able to make the pass. I think we'll see the most emotion out of that guy for sure. Been chasing this series, moving here from New Zealand a number of years ago, privateer effort riding for a number of teams over the years and different machines, starting off, I believe, with the Teely Racing Energy KTM team many years ago, has rode a couple different brands and been chasing this dream, and so close here today, and it's not over. He can still see the race win just ahead of him. See a rider that was an e-bike laid over, thought we had a lapped rider, but people following the race around the track and cheering these guys on. There you can see, got a Liam Draper fan there, but he needs to get on the gas and try to track down Jordan Ashburn because Ashburn is trying to open up a gap at the moment.
Yeah, Draper's still right there, but at the moment all he can do is watch as Ashburn gets ever so closer to that finish line. And, man, I've seen him get second places and be pumped up, working his way from the back, but got to think if he just comes up short of the win today, going to be a little bit frustrated as he was in such a good spot. Certainly not for lack of trying, but Ashburn right now going to do anything and everything as Ashburn almost comes together with a lap rider. That was a close one, and that's what we're talking about. We still got a few miles. We still got plenty of opportunities for crazy things to happen here at the Dukes. Anything possible. It could be a lapper, could be a rock, could be a rider mistake. It's not over until Ricky Towery throws that checker flag.
Talking with our director, Don Hampton there, do you think that there could be some traction issues going on right now with Johnny for Draper?
Well, kind of what we were mentioning with Brandy Richards talking about how the track was continuing to develop. I think earlier on in the day, the tire selection of Liam Draper with that non-knobby Trials tire, he was able to find traction on that polished, hard-packed slick, especially when there was some moisture in it. Whereas now, Jordan Ashburn with the more traditional EN91 knobby tire, the FIM DOT-approved tire, it's got small knobs, but it does still have a traditional knobby-type pattern. So when you get into that loose fluff on the edges of the track where they seem to be, the lines are developing better, he's just getting more grip in those sections. I definitely think that is a factor here, but you never know exactly how these races are going to develop and how the courses are going to develop. So each one of these two riding styles and tire choices seeming to have their portions of the track and portions of the race where they have an advantage. But I do think what we're seeing on screen right now, Jordan Ashburn seems to be a bit more comfortable, and it could be, at least in part, a function of that rear tire selection.
Yeah, I've noticed Draper's rear end stepping out just a bit more than what I think I've noticed earlier on, as now we see Craig DeLong on third place on screen. And DeLong still getting after it.
Still pushing, but he's definitely lost a little bit of time. He was much closer and in the same camera shot just earlier in the previous lap, and now it seems like the intensity that Ashburn and Draper are putting down
are drawing them away from the third place ride of Craig DeLong.
Yeah, for those folks at home, take a look here at Liam Draper at the bottom of your screen. Watch that rear end, and maybe you guys can see some of what I was talking about there. It seems like he's just having a hard time when putting that power to the ground and having it pick up. But there's a million reasons that could be happening out here on a track like this. Johnny could very well have nothing whatsoever to do with that tire. Here's the points as they run right now on the bottom of your screen. Ben Kelly would be sitting with 98 points versus Draper's 96. Does that math seem right to you, Johnny?
I don't have the points in front of me. It was a 13-point gap coming in.
But
yeah, no, that's right, because Ashburn having made the pass, what would have been a 3-point advantage when Liam Draper was leading, he lost 5 points when Jordan Ashburn made the point. So made the pass. So he would be 2 points behind. Still a very close battle, but 2 points behind now, dropping back from what was 3 ahead just a few corners ago when he was leading this race.
Our quick mathematician, Johnny G, on the scene. And now on the scene here in this camera shot, going to be our top 2, continuing to push the pace is Jordan Ashburn as he slowly but surely getting to the end of this race here, Johnny. Taking a look at our timing and scoring computer, we are just under 10 minutes out from seeing a checkered flag in the hands of Mr. Ricky Towner.
Yeah, this one coming down to the nitty-gritty. Liam Draper continuing to give chase, but with Jordan Ashburn having made the pass just a few sections ago and starting to stretch out just a few bike lengths, he seemingly is in control of this one, and that gap continued to widen by just a few bike lengths each camera shot. But Draper definitely not giving up on this one. And we do have that section of racetrack coming to the finish where Draper, his setup, his riding style have seemingly paid dividends the last few laps. Although last lap, Jordan Ashburn found something in that section of racetrack and was able to keep pace with Liam Draper. So we'll see how that plays out as they work their way towards this checkered flag in just a few more miles.
It definitely seems like Ashburn has found something out there, or Draper has lost something, one of the two. But we're going to see how it's going to all come down here in just a few minutes. Could we see one big last push from Liam Draper to try to get himself up in the top spot? Or assuming so, now time will tell, as back on screen is the big number 3, stirring up some dust as we get to the closing stages.
You can see just how blinding that dust can be from our ground cameras here. When we're watching from the drone, it just kind of looks like a little haze, but down on the ground, that camera's not very far away from that corner, and when the dust kicks up, the berm and the corner disappear completely. So imagine trying to navigate this. Well, Craig DeLong's still not too far back. Not as close as he was, but if either of the riders in front of him have a miscue, he definitely could take advantage of that in this final lap of racing.
Johnny, I don't know if it's even possible, but it seems like this dust here is so gritty, just a bit more than what we see at some places. This is the type of dust, as soon as it hits your eyes, it starts giving you problems.
Well, yeah, definitely, and I noticed the last 3 days that we've been here, it seems like it at the end of the day, when you get your shower and you try to wash those eyeballs out, it just kind of hangs in there, the grit. And I think there'll be a lot of red eyes for a few days after this one. Most of these guys able to keep goggles on, but even still, with this fine silt that kicks up out of these berms, a lot of times, if you don't prep your goggles properly and put something on the foam, it'll actually work its way through the foam and get inside your goggles. You can pull a tear off, you can pull a roll off, and it just doesn't matter. You still have that haze on the inside of your goggles, and it's also getting inside your eyeballs itself. So it definitely takes its toll on your vision throughout 3 hours of racing, and these guys are fighting for everything they have, not only for vision, but for track position, and it is quite the battle for the lead right now.
Sure, Mo, this is a pretty niche group of people that watch us here on Racer TV, so I'm sure most of them have experienced that. There's nothing more frustrating than getting that inside of your goggles, especially getting a little pebble inside of those goggles and having it just jump up and down, get into your eye the entire time. There's so many things like that at GNCC, especially that can irritate these riders and give you a hard time as we pop back up to the front.
Is that Jordan Ashburn just connected with the tree? It is, but he's able to get going, but Draper now almost back. Did you see that tree shaking? Jordan Ashburn came in, missed his line, and absolutely smoked that tree, and that has now drawn Liam Draper back to the rear wheels. Ashburn had opened up a gap, but just as quickly as things look like they may starting to work themselves out, now it is back to basically a wheel-to-wheel battle for the win here in Kentucky, and Liam Draper breathes new life into his chances to gain his first ever career win, as he's now almost to the rear wheels
rear wheel, singular, it's a Sunday, not a Saturday, of Jordan Ashburn here, and this one continues to excite. You can watch here, Ashburn comes in, and he watched the top of the tree, boom, smacks that tree.
2 of them.
Yeah, and bends it almost over. He's able to get the machine. Don't know if he fell over, most likely just came to a stop because he was very quick to get going, but that shows you just how quickly fortunes can change here in GNCC racing.
Talk about heart rate spikes. I'm sure both of those riders getting one now is Draper, like you said, getting some new life read into him. I'm sure he knows this is his time, and he's going to have to make the move soon. There's not much more racing left here in this one.
See that rider encouraging Liam Draper along, waving his arm and saying, hey, go get him. He moves out of the way and cheers Liam on. You're a part of not only the racing action, but you're also a fan when you're out there and these guys come up to lap you. You get to see some of the best racing action. Not quite as good as the seat you get here from Racer TV, especially from this Yamaha Racing Live drone. We've virtually been able to follow these battles both yesterday and today around almost the entire track. Shout out to our ace drone pilot, Gabe Scholl's done a great job for us this weekend. Favorable tree cover here with the scrub, the smaller trees. What a seat we've had front row for this racing action all weekend long.
Johnny, I've got to give it to Jordan Ashburn. Just as soon as it looks like Liam Draper is gaining any time on him, he pulls right back off.
Yep, he definitely recovered quickly after that miscue connecting with that tree. We saw it looked like he about ripped that thing out of the ground. He hit it so hard, but he is right back to it and back to a pace that is drawing him just a few bike lengths each corner and each camera shot further away from Liam Draper, putting himself in position to secure his first win of 2026 and solidify himself in the points battle. Was sitting back there, I believe, in that third place spot, if I remember correctly. I don't know where that sheet went, but I think he was third coming into today. Liam Draper sitting in that number 2 spot. So Ben Kelly sitting back in that 7th place spot in the overall. Yes, Ashburn 66 points, so he was 18 points behind Ben Kelly, so he'll make up quite a few today, but it will still be Draper in the number 2 spot as they run right now, only 2 points behind Ben Kelly as we head to round number 6, if they finish the way they're running on track right now.
It's going to be a pivotal day for the championship, and you never know, Johnny, what could count when 13 races are in the books and what could make the difference. It could be just one spot, could be one position at one of these races. But we're going to have to wait and see. A lot of racing still to go before we enter into round number 13 here at round number 5. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes GNCC, and this one is starting to come to a close as we are now officially going to be 3 hours into this progressive GNCC race.
Jackson, 3 hours of racing action. Look how close these guys still are. They were not even this close at the beginning of the race. It was Jordan Ashburn who was out front. Liam Draper was back up in about that 5th and 4th place spot. He was able to charge through, take the lead, pull a little bit of a gap, but Jordan Ashburn has kept him honest throughout, kept him in sight, never let him get away. And then as we started this final lap of racing action, Jordan Ashburn absolutely laying the hammer down, able to retake the lead and starting to try to stretch it out before a little connection with the tree allowed Liam Draper back into the fight, and he is still there. Not over, but this is it. These are the final sections of racetrack. Jordan Ashburn, if he can be clean through just about another quarter mile, he will be coming into the finish line chicanes and a checkered flag in the hands of Ricky Towery for what could be his first win of 2026.
Getting down to the nitty-gritty of it. Can Jordan Ashburn hold on for just a few more corners? Can Liam Draper make some kind of push? Can something happen here? Man, the wind's starting to really pick up outside of our Racer TV trailer as the boys make their way through those rocks and now into the final couple miles of racetrack.
Oh, not even a couple miles. We're just a couple corners, Jackson. Yeah. They come around this right-hander, and they are looking down over the bank, and we will see the finish line off in the distance. Just a few more sections, and a couple of lapped riders stand between Jordan Ashburn and a win here, which would be the first for his Phoenix Racing Honda team, the first this year for Jordan Ashburn. And Liam Draper has done such a great job, but he's going to really need to find something here in just about 5 corners to try to get himself back in the mix. Ashburn, seemingly now with 2 lapped riders between him and Draper, may have done enough to put the finishing touches on this one.
Here it is, Johnny, the final few corners, the final few sections. Once they head back down this hill, they're going to have about 3 corners to go. You can see the red finish line tents off in the distance. Here it is. There's the hill. And just a couple corners stand between Jordan Ashburn and that checkered flag in the hands of Mr. Ricky Towery.
Jordan Ashburn led early, off to a quick start, was overtaken for the lead by Liam Draper, but fights back on this final lap of racing, crosses the finish line. Advantage Jordan Ashburn, his first win of 2026. Draper crossing the line just a few seconds behind him in the number 2 spot. There's Jordan's wife, Mary. We saw the quick bottle handoff earlier and a long embrace between those two. That is a very happy man, a very happy family, and a very happy team. That Phoenix Racing Honda rewarded hiring Jordan Ashburn this year, bringing him over from that Gas team. He's now riding for the Phoenix Racing Honda team and rewards them with a win here at the inaugural Dukes GNCC in Hazard, Kentucky. You can see a long embrace from Liam Draper, his wife Nikki there as well. A little bit of sense of dejection, sure, if you're Liam Draper, but he rode so well, put himself in a great position all day long. There's his mechanic, and you can see he is absolutely exhausted. Again, probably a little bit dejected as well, but nothing to hang your head about. What a great ride. Craig DeLong crosses the line in third. As we look at the gaps, 5 seconds was the margin of victory. And look at this. Craig DeLong put in a charge right there at the finish, only 5 seconds behind Liam Draper. Rounds out your final podium position. We will wait, but I'm pretty confident based on the spreads going into the final lap of racing. I don't think that Jason Tino is close enough to get in the mix for that podium position. So I think this is your podium right here, both XC1 and overall, with Jordan Ashburn taking the win, Liam Draper in second, and Craig DeLong rounding out the overall podium.
I think you're right. As Craig DeLong took the sweatband off, Johnny, it was all smiles for him and that Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team. This is the one they've been looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, DeLong looking at his first 4 rounds with a 6th, an 8th, a 7th, and a 6th. It's been a grind for him. He's been consistent, but putting that machine on the podium is a huge step for him and that team this weekend. Definitely showing that they are here to fight. A former series champion putting himself back on the podium. You know that's definitely a potential building block for him to work his way towards race wins that we know he's capable of.
Our drone pilot looking and watching and waiting, and there he is. And it sounds like, as we watch Mike Wachowski on the Phoenix Racing Honda make his way through, that we have the other Phoenix Racing Honda, our winner here today, standing by with Zach Heron.
All right, thanks, guys. Yep, down here with Jordan Ashburn, his first win in 2026 and his first win on the Phoenix Racing Honda. Certainly did not come easy, though. Take us through our first time here at the Dukes.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Lord Jesus Christ for giving me the talent to be here and to keep me safe today. It was super sketchy, but, man, my bike was working really good from lap 1, and did a lot of testing the past few weeks, and it's paid off, and just felt really comfortable early on, and just kind of was cruising, and Liam was really ripping, man, and he got away there for a little bit, and was able to reel back in a little kind of close that last lap and make a move, but man, it was an eventful day. I mean, I had some close calls, and I know probably everybody did, but it was a gnarly track.
No doubt about it, and we talked a lot about bike setup, tire selection, all coming into play, but it really seemed like you were able to figure some things out. Like you said, that last lap and a half or so, close that gap back up. Were there line changes made? Did you just get a burst of energy? What happened that really felt like you were able to close that gap up?
You know, I know the gap wasn't much, and just hitting your marks. It was so hard to get traction in some of the silty areas, but just trying to square the corners off and just hit your marks. I mean, I was able to do that the last couple of laps and stay sharp. And every time you kind of, if you dazed off or weren't thinking, like you'd hit a big one and it'd like have a close call. So you really had to stay focused today.
Now, overall, first time here at the Dukes, first impressions. I got to think positive after we grab a win. But what do we think about this course? We know we say Jordan loves the mud. I think we've changed it now. Jordan just likes extreme conditions, extremely rocky out here this weekend.
I told my guys that this weekend. I was like, you know, I do like extreme conditions, whatever way it is. It's way faster. Not what I expected out of Kentucky. I was actually not super pumped on it, and then got to riding it. And Barry told me before the race, he said, the quad guys yesterday liked it better after they raced it, and then I'll say I did like it better afterwards. So it's good. I'm happy to be safe and get a win today, and it's a great day.
There it is, Jordan Ashburn making it 5 XC1 winners in the first 5 rounds of 2026.
There you go, 5 XC1 winners in the first 5 rounds. And that celebration you're seeing just behind our Racer TV camera there is Jason Tino coming across the line for his first career XC2 win.
ending up ultimately 7th place overall, slipping back 1 position on that last lap. Ben Kelly putting in a charge on that last lap, able to not only pass Jason Tino on corrected time, but get right to the rear wheels of Mike Witkowski. Caleb Russell actually crossing the line in 4th overall and in class in that XC1 class. So that's the shakeout. The top 7 have checked in. Actually, Grant Baylor checked in as well, 8th place overall. But what a battle and what a win for Jordan Ashburn.
Yeah, to get one more Dukes of Hazzard quote in there. I'm sure both of those two, our two winners, feeling a little bit like Boss Hog. He loves it when a plan comes together, especially when it lines his pocket, and I'm sure those boys are feeling the same. Jordan always a stand-up act, giving the glory to God, and you can tell he's happy. As all hugs around the family, it sounds like Zach Herron going to be standing by here in just a couple seconds with our second place of Liam Draper.
Absolutely. I got the whole family on camera out here for this one after an incredible performance. Liam, man, what a show. I told Jordan the same thing. You guys put on a show for us on Racer TV, 110% for 3+ hours of racing. Take us through the Dukes.
Yeah, it was a good day. I got an average start, but chipped away at it and got to the lead. And, it felt easy to me out there. I was riding good and everything was flowing, and I could get it out a little, and then Jordan would bring it back in. He was faster towards the end of the track than I was, and yeah, those last 2 laps were tough. If you have a look at my rear tire, it's completely bald, so it worked when it worked, and I know now. I don't regret it. It's you live and learn, but yeah, it's a good day.
No doubt about it. Real quick, I'm going to get the camera to see here. Mike, come over here. I'm going to see if we can get a shot of this rear tire here. When he said that thing is gone, it is gone. Now, Jordan, real quick, get the opinion coming into this round. A lot of question marks regarding the terrain. What led you to try to go with that trials tire? Like you said, when it was working, it was gripping out there, but ultimately just doesn't quite look like it had 3 hours in it.
Yeah, definitely. I rode on it all week, and it felt really good, and it didn't wear too much. But and I know Stu and Grant have run it at Snowshoe before, and it's lasted, so I thought it would last, but I am pretty hard on tires, obviously.
Hey, certainly worth the shot, and like I said, you left nothing, no stone unturned, no pun intended out here. Overall, got to be relatively satisfied with the result.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a really good points day. I came in here 12 with 13 points down, so I'm not sure where I stand now, but I think it's going to be close.
No doubt about it. Liam Draper keeping it consistent, back on the podium again out here at round 5.
Well, by our math in the booth, Liam Draper now 3 points behind. We showed the graphic that he was 2 points behind, but Ben Kelly able to overtake Jason Tino in corrected time on that last lap of racing, gaining 1 more valuable point, meaning he will carry a 3-point lead in the overall championship standings heading into round number 6 here. Will we see a 6th different winner? Well, we'll get to that here in a minute. We've seen enough. Look at this. That, like you said, completely gone. No knobs left in the center part of that tire, nursing that thing to finish and still almost grabbing himself a win here today. It was a gamble. It paid off for 6 of 7 laps of racing. Just couldn't quite hold up to the finish. But still, like you said, good points day for him and a great race that we got to see on screen. It's been an absolute battle, Jackson.
Most definitely. Another lap around, and I don't believe that tire would be there whatsoever. I know he's talked about Baylor being able to make it through Snowshoe with one of those tires, but if we think back, Toth wasn't able to make it through. Now we know Draper can't make it through either. So we should be standing by here soon with our 3rd place finisher here today. Zach Herron going to take it away here in just a second.
All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, doing some celebrating down here with Craig DeLong back on the XC1 Pro podium here in 2026. What a place to do it at, man. Certainly was not an easy round by any means, but you were on the charge all the way up until that last camera shot. Take us through how you were feeling out here and how good it feels to be back on the box.
Feels really good. Honestly, I felt this good all year. Just kind of poor situations I was putting myself in the first couple races, so I was able to kind of get a good start and make a couple good moves early that kind of put me in the mix. So no, I felt good. I was tight early on, and man, once I loosened up, I felt good. So definitely a relief, and yeah, I was excited. I feel good. I'm strong. Like cramping a little bit, but just grit your teeth, and it's not even there. So now I'm excited, and yeah, I think we're still kind of in the mix. Everything's, still pretty close. So just got to capitalize on it and put myself back in it.
No doubt about it. Nothing over at all. Now, first time out here at the Dukes. As far as expectations versus reality, once you got out there, what did you think about the property? We caught a mean power wheelie coming through the pit lane, but the rest of the course, absolutely brutal. Was it what you were expecting? How do you feel like you set the machine up headed into this?
Honestly, I feel like I did pretty good homework this past week, riding at home in Waynesburg. You know, me and Liam and the Whitmer boys, and man, we did our homework. We did our homework this week, and I think it paid off. Honestly, when I pedaled the track on Saturday morning, I was a little bit disappointed. Truthfully, I was like, man, this is going to be kind of dangerous. But once the quads got on it and turned it up, it got better. So I kind of ate my words there a little bit. So hats off to GNCC, and they did the best they could with this piece of land here. So I had fun. This kind of reminds me of West Virginia, like that old reclaimed crappy dirt, like just rocky and just rough. So. No, it was awesome. Just an awesome day.
There you have it. Craig DeLong putting in the work, feeling strong, and puts it back on the podium here at round 5.
And there we go. Going to try to see if we can talk here to our XC2 class winner of Jason Tino, but either way, Johnny, what a ride here for Craig DeLong, able to get himself back up into the top 3.
Yeah, and Craig, we didn't really talk about much him in the points, but he is sitting in that 4th place spot, not very far out of the championship battle. So podium here today bodes well for him, keeps him in that fight, and he alluded to that saying, hey, we're still in this thing. A former series champion, you can tell he's definitely thinking championship picture as he feels that this podium was a step in the right direction. We'll give you a rundown of that XC2 podium. Jason Tino grabbing the win, 50 seconds over Jack Walker in the number 2 spot, and Gavin Simon, 3rd place out of Landrum, South Carolina, 3 minutes and 13 seconds behind Jack Walker. Also, Chase Landers has checked in as well. We've been documenting his race throughout the weekend. You can see him standing there receiving some congratulations. Our top overall amateur and 11th overall. A big week, big switch for him, documented on social media, moving from that Phoenix Racing Honda team back to what we believe is a privateer-backed KTM effort. So definitely paying off with an 11th overall and 258 win and top amateur for Chase Landers. So a big day of racing here, Jackson. We got to speak with our overall podium and XC1. Shout out again to Jason Tino, first career XC2 win. We weren't able to grab him for an interview, likely headed back to get cleaned up and ready for that XC2 podium. Coming up with Zach here very soon.
Yeah, shout out to Hunter Smith here in this one as well, out of our 258 class. Going to be 2nd place in that one. Having a good run there at Camp Coker as well, and going to be able to back it up here this weekend.
Well, this one was a lot of fun, and you heard a lot of the riders talking about the track, a lot of questions coming into the weekend when riders were bicycling. We heard the same thing out of the ATV set, saying, hey, we don't really know what we've got here. We don't think we like it. And then seeing the racing action on screen and talking to the riders afterwards, seems like it's a lot of thumbs up for this Dukes facility here in Hazard, Kentucky, and the action did not disappoint today. Ben Kelly quick off the line, but Jordan Ashburn sneaking around the inside, grabbing the lead and leading early here. Stu Baylor in the mix, putting the pressure on Jordan Ashburn all over his rear wheel, looking like the Duke. Stu Baylor may be in contention for the win here today. Obviously, we know things did not work out as it progressed, but Jordan Ashburn was putting a pretty intense pace down early. Stu Baylor still giving chase.
Yeah, of course, Stu Baylor ultimately not able to finish this one, having to retire early due to what we believe is going to be bike problems. So a tough break for him, and there you see it right there. Stu trying to do everything he can. Wasn't quite enough. Angus Reardon, he had some troubles here today, but Johnny able to rebound there through the middle parts of the race and get himself back up.
Yep, absolutely. Ben Kelly putting up a fight early, running in a podium position, but Craig DeLong looked like he had the pass made, and this just go to show how many lines there were for passing. Craig DeLong is next to Ben Kelly 5 or 6 times, finally making the pass a little bit further, but not before Liam Draper capitalizing on Craig kind of struggling there behind Ben Kelly. Liam Draper able to make the pass, and then just a few corners later doing the same to Ben Kelly. Then he rode up right to the rear wheels of Jordan Ashburn, and the fight for the lead on.
It sure was. We saw Liam Draper up into that top spot for a lot of this race. This is where it happened. Right here, Johnny, able to sneak up the inside, plants himself up into that top spot. We saw Ashburn really trying to get that lead back there early on, but then Ashburn, as you can see right here, going to move a few bike lengths back. That was where he was going to settle in for a while.
And just when it looked that Liam Draper kind of had this one in hand, you could see he had just found a groove, started to pull away from Jordan Ashburn, but the resilience, the absolute, savageness of Jordan Ashburn, normally a very calm, calculated rider that we see well in control, was hanging it out there in the dust to keep Liam Draper in sight. And as the race progressed, it was a yo-yo effect. There was half the track where it seemed Liam was better, half the track where it seemed Jordan was better, and the battle just continued. We saw so many of these moments from Jordan Ashburn today that we almost never see off the track. Then it was time for some hydration, some very quick bottle handoffs for both Draper, and then here comes Ashburn's White Mary, and both of these guys taking some hydration, and the battle continued. At the white flag, you can see just how close they were. They were in the same camera shot. Ricky Towery letting the boys know one more lap of racing action. Ashburn laying it all on the line, trying to get close to Draper, and this is where things really got intense. Around the outside, flat tracking, the two lines that we'd seen them running, it just seemed as the race went on, that outside line that Ashburn was running paid off. He's able to carry the speed, carry the momentum, make the pass, and carry it to his first win of 2026. Jordan Ashburn in the Phoenix Racing Honda team grabbing the win, Liam Draper in second, and Craig DeLong rounding out the overall and XC1 podium.
What a day, Johnny. That last lap got very intense. Things really heated up. Things also heated up on that rear tire there of Draper until that thing was absolutely gone. Glad Draper was able to get it to the finish line here in this one.
And see Craig DeLong just fighting the dust all day long. Face absolutely covered, and here is that rear tire that we were talking about. There's supposed to be knobs in the middle of that. They're gone. He chewed them all away, saying he learned something. The tire was really good until it wasn't. Definitely a factor in the end of things. Here's the top 10. Jordan Ashburn with the win. Liam Draper second. Craig DeLong rounding out the overall and XC1 podium. Caleb Russell marching his way up to fourth place in the overall. Mike Witkowski fifth. Ben Kelly charging back at the end there for sixth and valuable championship points. Jason Tino, your XC2 winner for the first time, seventh overall. Grant Baylor, second place in XC2. Jack Walker was ninth overall. And then Gavin Simon rounds out the podium in the XC2 class and 10th overall.
And that's the way things are going to be here from the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Dukes for the first time ever. And our return back to Kentucky after 13 long years away. Johnny, this was a good.
Yeah, it was absolutely a battle and a lot of excitement here today. We saw some great racing action. And, man, I think it's time to do the thing where we talk about final thoughts, Jackson. We saw a lot of racing action this weekend and a lot of great racing action. More passing than we're used to seeing. I think a great track here. And I'll let you go first. Your final thoughts on this one here today?
Don't ever take Jordan Ashburn's kindness for weakness. He has that dog in him.
Savage. Absolute savage here today. Hanging it out. Not something we normally see out of Jordan, but with the win on the line, he gave it everything he had and was able to come away with the win. I think for me, it's the parity. 5 winners in 5 rounds. Absolute free-for-all right now in the X and overall in GNCC bike racing. And Ben Kelly holding on to that points lead, but so many of these riders showing that they're hungry. And some riders that we knew coming into the season that were very much in the championship talk having bad days today, including Stu Baylor and Grant Davis scoring no points today, effectively putting themselves virtually out of this championship hunt here in 2026. And that really shakes things up. I think that's my final takeaway.
No doubt. And some big things to come for the next one. Can we make it 6 for 6, or will we see our first repeat winner here of 2026? It's been a good one here in Knott County, Kentucky. Upcoming broadcast on Racer TV going to be the CGI facility there for J-Day. Then we're going to be headed to the Old Gray for some more GNCC racing on 5-2. We're going to have the Pro ATVs, and then 5-3 will be our Pro Bike Day. We hope all of you guys join us for that one.
Well, we appreciate everybody joining us this weekend here on RacerTV.com for all of the racing action that we've brought you. We'll continue to do that each week for GNCC and all those other broadcasts we saw on screen. On behalf of our executive producer, Kerry Russell, our OPAG, our producer, Adam Gordon, director, Don Hampton, replay artist, Cameron Cotter, engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, second engineer, Jack Renner, our manager, Dan Reinhardt, our official spotter, David Hollywood Kripe, our camera operators, Jack, Mike, Matt, Adam, Josh, Adam, Dave, Dylan, and our ace drone pilot, Gabe Shull, who brought us so much of the action today. On behalf of myself, Zach Herron, and Jackson Burrell, this has been Racer TV, and we'll see you again soon.